in my head. Liking is loving, tapping is clapping, sharing is caring. Please consider contributing to the gifting goal today. Please also consider subscribing. We are 10 subscribers away from our next subscriber count. If we can hit that number, we will do a drawing to give away an item from the merch store. We'll do that on Friday. Also, we are crowdfunding here. You want to support the channel, we'll post our live goal. Happy to read anything out that you send us. Sometimes I forget to do that. My apologies. You are also very, very generous. If you'd like to do the crowdfund, we are at Factsstillmatter at all the various things. Sorry. Also, please consider joining our Discord. Most of the topics that we cover here, we'll post in the general chat section of our Discord or in the live sources section. We are also working now on a new channel that we've just recently developed in our Discord called The Blueprint of a Better Man. We talk oftentimes about, the things that we obviously know, that it is all men until it's no men. We also have opportunities here to potentially, guide conversations about what qualities and attributes people would like to see. Okay, that happened quickly. Everybody keep tapping like crazy, please. Appreciate y'all. Tapping, gifting, even if it's a rose or a coin, whatever that might be, that just helps us stay on the FYP. And don't forget about completing your various tasks. Anywho, a lot to cover. It's interesting because I'm thinking about the cover-up of the whole Epstein thing now. Maybe worse than the crimes themselves because of the continued just trauma, PTSD, and just non-acknowledgement of the survivors in this case. And I was just thinking because one of the things that I do in my personal life that I get a lot of satisfaction from is I'm involved in the theater program at my daughter's school. Actually, I've been doing it. I direct the plays there. I've been doing it since my boys were in middle school, and it's her senior year. We're doing Mean Girls, and I know all these kids. Like I've grown up with them. Basically, they've been they've had snowball fights in my backyard, and we've been to basketball games and cookouts and all kinds of stuff. Right, so I know all these kids, and there's 16. We're a short two people. There's 16. I'm sorry. There's 15 girls and young ladies in the cast, and I'm using the numbers in my head. Right. 25% at some point will either experience grape to completion or attempted grape or versions of SA. And I'm looking at these young girls and thinking to myself, I know them, and very likelihood that some of them will be abused. And I'm also in an area where there's a lot of affluence around, not in my town, but in the town, a couple towns over. And I know a lot of those families, and I know a lot of those parents that are Trump voters. So then it got me thinking, MAGA dads, what are you going to tell your daughters? Because that's the legacy, in my opinion, right? We're past Trump in a way, because this is now about what other people do and how these conversations have to happen. Because there are how do I want to say this? The continued propping up and supporting and then denying and then covering up some of the worst crimes possible against children is, I don't even know how we continue to describe it other than we'll continue to talk about it. But we know a lot of abuse happens at home. Intimate partner violence, we've seen the numbers, we've talked about it. So it just got me thinking, what will MAGA dads tell their kids? You grew up in a community, you grew up around your friends, and then you're going to be confronted with this question, MAGA dads. What are you going to tell your daughters? Are you going to lie to them? Are you going to try to find some pivot? Try to come up with some just typical talking points that come from the conservative media and come from the administration itself to try to justify it? So I'm hoping that, again, I don't expect to have those conversations with people, because we've seen what's happened over the past few days just in this space alone, right? About how there doesn't seem to be any sort of care or concern about any of that. They just want to try to pivot to something else because that's all they have left. And that's why I say we have to keep the pressure on, because we're here now. They can't run from it. They are trying. The lies are stacking up one on top of the other. One on top of the other. You're not giving them safe streets. They don't care. Thank you for proving our point. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. So, yeah, I think it is goes to the machine. I don't know what it is. Anyway, I mean, I think that's the conversation. I think that's the conversation that I don't have to have that with my daughter. But MAGA dads do. MAGA dads do. So we have a lot to kind of cover on that topic today because now that the Washington is sort of back in session. You're going to hear from Triple K Caroline a lot today because some of the things that she said yesterday kind of sort of emphasize exactly what I was just talking to you about, right? About how the cover up is almost worse than the crimes. But everybody keep tapping and sharing, please. I appreciate all very much. Let's start off with some good news because there's some good news connected to some of the events that happened last night. There was a special election in Virginia. There's currently 4 open house seats. And it was a special election in Virginia last night. It was to replace Jerry Connolly, who recently passed away. That's a Northern Virginia district. It's like 20 miles from D.C. It's right outside the Beltway, or it might even be right inside the Beltway, but it's right there. It's like 20 miles from downtown D.C., loaded with federal workers. So it was a bit of a litmus test, right? It was a bit of a litmus test to say, okay, how is this district, who's heavily, a lot of federal employees and a lot of people that were subjected to cuts from the DOJ cuts and from the Trump administration's assault on federal workers, like the deep state, right? Well, the gentleman's name is James Walkinshaw. He was Jerry Connolly's chief of staff. Kamala Harris in 2024 won this district by 30 points. Walkinshaw last night won it by 50. Yeah, you heard that right. 50 points. So Virginia, they always talk about Virginia being a bit of a bellwether just because of how its proximity to D.C. and to the Beltway. So again, Kamala Harris won that seat by, I think it's 30, either 32 or 34, somewhere in that range. But last night, Walkinshaw won it by 50. So he'll be sworn in, which means there's another vote available on the discharge petition. So as it sits right now, full occupancy in the House would be 220 seats. I'm sorry, 435. And the breakdown, if all things hold true, would be 220 to 215, thus 35. So now, with this win last night, there's 213 Democrats. So there are a few more special elections, and I broke them down for you. So Virginia's 11th, which was just last night. Arizona's 7th district, that's vacant following the death of Raul Grijalva. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but a Democrat. That special election is scheduled for the 23rd. Texas 18th, vacant since the passing of Sylvester Turner, a Democrat. That special election is on November the 4th. And then Tennessee's 7th. That's vacant due to the resignation of Rep. Mark Green on July 20th. And that special election is scheduled for December 2nd. So you've got one seat. So three of the 4 were held by Democrats. So, and those are all strong Democratic districts, right? So let's just play this out. If things hold true, then the count would be 220 to 215, which means 4 signatures from Republicans on the discharge petition would put them over the 218 threshold, forcing that vote to the floor. So that's the math. So that would be 219 votes. So again, and you were represented by Raul Grijalva. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. That special election is held on the 23rd of September. You know what to do. Texas 18th, vacant since the death of Rep. Sylvester Turner, a Democrat. That's Texas's 18th. That is November 4th. You know what to do. And Tennessee 7th, right? I don't know the complexity or the complexion literally of that race. Who knows? So here we are. So it's Isaiah Martin. It's Isaiah Martin in Texas's 18th. So once again, if things just hold as they are, there's one more vote that's needed for this discharge petition to pass. So that's good news. That's democracy. I say that because also yesterday, the Missouri House, which is a supermajority Republican, approved a redrawn congressional map. Shocker, giving one more seat to Republicans in the House next year, because Republicans cannot win unless they cheat. They can't. They cannot win unless they cheat. They know they are going to get decimated in the election next year. They know it. Now, what's interesting with all of this redistricting and the complete bullshit that the Republicans are doing is they haven't really addressed swing districts. And it's difficult to do that because you can't, if you're going to draw it, you're going to have to be careful how you draw it, right? So they haven't necessarily done or haven't necessarily addressed swing districts. So if we use the Virginia seat, and I'm not saying that's a swing district, but if we just use that as an indicator, again, a district that Kamala Harris won by 30 points, okay? And then the gentleman who won last night, what was his name again? James Walkinshaw, won by 50. Then I say, let the Republicans do what they're going to do because they're going to do it anyway. It's our job to show up and fight back by overwhelming the polls. Let them say what they want about mail-in ballots. Let them say what they want about election integrity. Doesn't matter. Keep your blinders on. Do your job. That's all that matters. Bill Belichick, do your job. Do your job. Your job is to vote. Your job is to make sure your neighbors are voting. Your job is to make sure that you're helping people who may have a difficult time getting to the polls on election day, helping them out. Your job is to make sure your neighbors know how to process a mail-in ballot, if that's the case in your state. Do your job. That is your responsibility. So again, if canvassing, phone calling, phone banking, whatever it might be, donations if you can. Most of these candidates have ActBlue websites. Use it. Again, the numbers are, because of that win last night, that's one more signature. Likely, I'm assuming he'll sign the discharge petition. Of course he will. He'll sign that. That'll be 216 Democrats, right? Is that right? No, there's 213 now, it'll be 214. So you're then with the 4 Republicans, you're at 217, okay? So again, 213 Democrats, 4 signatures from 4 Republicans, Thomas Massie, Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's 217. I have to check Discord. All right. Sorry. What did I miss? Is that what it is? Is that really what it is? It must be. Ha! That's what it was. It was a dog hair. That's funny. Not surprised. Thank you, guys. Anyway, the simple math would be such, right? So we got as it sits right now, right? That is hilarious. Freaking dog hair. That's so funny. As it sits right now, with that new seat won by James Walkinshaw last night, it only takes one Republican, and I'm sick of saying courageous Republican. I'm fucking tired of it. I'm so tired of it. We're courageous for wanting to have full transparency. So we'll keep our eyes on that. So again, if you live in, what are the districts again? Just want to make sure. If you live in Arizona's 7th, your special election comes up on the 23rd. If you live in Texas 18th, your special election comes up on November 4th. And if you live in Tennessee's 7th, your special election is on December 2nd. And remember, that discharge petition stays open throughout the duration of this Congress. So it can happen at any time. And again, it should not be courageous for a Republican, especially those Christians who claim that they care about sanctity and the preservation of protections for women and children, then prove it. Okay? Then just go out there and prove it by signing this petition, and so we can get full transparency. Also overnight, last night, well, this is, again, more good news. A judge blocked, so Lisa Cook was fired illegally from the Fed Board of Governors, and the judge blocked that last night, which means she needs to be put back into her position. Another victory. We also know that this week has not been good for the Trump administration, and Trump in particular, because the appeals court denied his appeal. E. Jean Carroll won her case. She'll get paid. We know that, right? And now it's likely that the Supreme Court is going to step in on the whole legality of tariffs. And because the conservative appellates has said that these tariffs are illegal, I would be really surprised if the Supreme Court overturned that, because they generally tend to stick with the appellate courts. Rarely do they overturn these decisions. You never know. Knock wood. You never know. I'm still cracking up about the dog hair. That's hilarious. You never know. So that's what's happening. And they, sadly, though, the conservatives also rule that you can basically racially profile. ICE can basically racially profile people. So there's that. Also overnight, last night, there was, well, as discussed, there was this strike against, ordered by the IDF, a strike against H leadership in Qatar, right? But they hit a residential building. We've got more munitions being launched from Russia into Ukraine, some of the biggest strikes yet at the capital, and now Russian drones flying over Poland, which is a NATO country. You know, the no more wars president. The no more wars president. It's good to know. I'm glad we are, you know, I'm glad he's looking out for us. It's good to know. The tariff thing is really, really interesting. So we'll see what the Supreme Court says. Exactly. Just like Kamala predicted. Exactly. And don't forget, Poland is a NATO nation, Article 5. And when one nation's attacked, another nation's attacked. If I were a betting man, which I'm not, right? Part of Article 5 would mean all NATO nations respond. Do you think that the president would allow the United States to? I doubt it. I doubt it. The only time Article 5 has ever been initiated was post 9/11, and our NATO allies came to our defense and came to our aid. We certainly know we are obligated to, but it's still going to take, it's still the commander in chief. We are obligated, yep, but it's still the commander in chief. We're also obligated to support them because of the Budapest Memorandum. We know how that's gone. So we'll see. All that being said, there's nothing positive that they can turn to, the administration. So they're going to try to distract. They're going to try to use these threats of rolling down tanks down Main Street, Chicago, when we know that the crime rates in the red cities and the red states are higher. We know that across the board. I'm sick and tired. I'm tired of trying to tell them. So I'm not talking to them anymore. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to people who we need to participate in democracy. I'm talking to people who are apathetic about voting. I'm talking to people who are, quite frankly, entitled. That if you're not getting exactly what you want out of your elected officials on the left, that you may not turn out, or you might send a protest vote. We got to be past that shit. Okay, we have to be past that. We've got to move past it. We got to stop clutching the pearls and vote. With that being said, as it connects to the whole immigration thing, there was this wild interview, with Tom Homan, and I want you to hear what he had to say. And we're gonna fact check it because, again, legacy media won't, so we will. This was Tom Homan on Fox talking about what ICE is doing and who the people are that are being arrested.
And I looked at the numbers this morning. 70% of everybody ICE arresting is a criminal. The other 30% are gang members who don't have criminal histories, national security threats. We're arresting them by the thousands.
Okay. So let's do the math here real quick. What was that again, Tom? Let me sure.
70% of everybody ICE arresting is a criminal.
Okay.
The other 30% are gang members who don't have criminal histories.
Okay. So 70% have criminal records. The other 30% are gang members, but they don't have criminal records. So then that would tell you that everybody that they are arresting are either has a criminal record or they are affiliated with a gang. Let's go to the tape, shall we, Jim? Majority of this is according to ICE. This is according to track reports. This is according to the FBI. As of August 24, 2025, 71% of people in ICE detention, around 43,000 out of the 61,226, had no criminal record. Over the fiscal year 2025, 65% of the approximately 204,297 individuals booked into ICE detention centers had no criminal convictions, and 93% had no violent convictions at all. At all. Here's some names for you. Mohsen Madawi, Palestinian graduate student at Columbia University, detained by ICE in Vermont. No criminal charges. Mahmoud Khalil, another Columbia University student and a pro-Palestinian activist, arrested without a warrant from his on-campus housing, then detained for months despite having lawful permanent residency and no criminal behavior. Alfredo Juarez Zafrino, or Lelo, farm worker and union organizer in Washington State, detained by ICE in March 2025, despite being an activist with no criminal record and only a childhood traffic offense. So once again, MAGA, you are being lied to. And people's lives are being upended because we have racist fucking bigots in our government. Tom Homan going to your safe spaces, MAGA, so you can watch it. You can hear him tell you that 70% have criminal convictions. I'll play it again because I still see some of you fools chirping. Here we go.
And I looked at the numbers this morning. 70% of everybody ICE arresting is a criminal. Oh. The other 30% are gang members who don't have criminal histories.
Okay, so 70%, you heard it, 70% have criminal records, 30% are gang members with no criminal records. That's your boy. He's telling you that. He's telling you that. We know the story of the young woman, I forget her name, Ms. Rodriguez, who was pregnant in ICE detention. No criminal record. 65%, based on the data, 65% have no criminal convictions. Supreme Court basically just authorized racial profiling. There's more to it than that, but that's basically what it comes down to. Hairdressers, all kinds of people. U.S. citizens, all kinds of people. You've been lied to again, MAGA. But here's the thing. The reason that they're lying to you is because they know you're racist bigots too. They know that. They know you love this shit, that you get off on it, that you're celebrating it, which is why many of you just don't care. Which is why many of you don't care if Trump's on, well, when we find out that he's definitively on the Epstein list. You don't care about that either. You don't care about crimes against women. You don't care about crimes against children. Maybe because you get off on that too. You don't care. They're going to continue to tell you that over and over and over and over again. The party of law and order commits the most crimes. The party of protecting children from abuse are the abusers. The party of religious freedom and liberty, the church is a safe place. The same people where a lot of abuse happens, guess what, is in the church. Leaders in the church, community members. You can't run from it. You can't. So your daughter comes home from her, indoctrination factory, the liberal university, and she sees all the things that are being perpetrated, these accusations, ultimately confessions made by Republicans and Donald Trump, blaming everybody else. Comes home and asks you, Dad, did you really vote for Trump? What are you going to say? What are you going to tell her? You going to lie to her too? You're going to look her in the eye and lie to her? Really? You're going to look your daughter in the eyes and lie to her? Do you think she's ever going to come to you if she's assaulted? Do you think she's ever going to come to you and tell you about personal details? So yeah, you did, and you'll do it again? Yes, I did lie to her, and I'll do it again? It's nice, Sean. You proud of that? They know. They know. What are you going to tell your boys? What are you going to tell your boys? Hey, I voted for this guy. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Is that what you're going to do? Yeah, I did lie to her, and I'll do it again. #GirlDad, right? The entire belief set that you all have is because you have been told to hate everyone. You've been told to hate women. You've been told to hate non-white people. You've been told to hate members of the LGBTQIA community. They've never done anything to you. You can blame women all you want. You're lonely because you're an asshole. You're lonely because you're a dick. You're lonely because you are a predator. You're lonely because you are the reason you're lonely. And you're going to have that conversation someday. It's going to be confronted, right? So again, I'm watching these amazing young people singing their hearts out, acting. We did choreography last night, did music, and I'm thinking there's 15 girls here. Girls, there's only one that's 18. Girls, right? 4 of them are likely going to be raped. Those are the stats, okay? Either attempted or to completion. And many of those kids in that community, their parents voted Trump. And how do you think that young girl is going to feel safe talking to her dad? What will you tell your daughters? It is. I agree. 18 is still a girl. I agree. I'm just talking about of legal age, right? Is that what you're going to tell your kids? I voted for that. When they ask you, you're going to lie? Well, we know Sean will just lie. Some of the weakest, most cowardice, pathetic people I have ever seen in my life are conservative white men, MAGA men. It's wild, right? It's wild. Like I said before, we're gonna break down how the fact now that the cover up is almost worse than the crimes themselves. We saw the images from the birthday book. We know it's Trump signatures. I'm so beta. Frank, if I'm beta, does that make you alpha? So as an alpha male, gonna tell his daughter that he voted for Trump? Is that what you're gonna do? If beta means that I believe women, then I am beta to the max, my guy. So thank you. I appreciate that. Great segue. Don't forget, friends, we're crowdfunded here. If you want to support the channel, you can do so. Please consider subscribing, and there's a gifting goal today. Thank you all. If you haven't completed your daily task, please do that. So we've got Tom Homan lying to the American public, right? We've got that. That's an easy one. And then that press conference with Caroline yesterday. First of all, I don't know if you guys know this, but just before she walks out into the press room, she gathers her staff and they have a prayer circle. They literally have a prayer circle. Jesus, give us the strength. Okay. And then she walks out there and just lies. Liberalism is a mental illness. Cool. Sweet. Good to know. Phony. Excellent. Good to know. Appreciate that. Keep, bring it on, guys. Bring it on. Bring it on. No problem. If that's what you need to try to justify your support for a predator, then go for it. Go for it. Okay, so let me try to walk back into what we know. Again, talk about the things that we know. We know that there's been one lie after another told by the administration going back to the beginning of the year. So I did this little breakdown yesterday, and I think it's worthwhile to, let me just see if I can find it. I just want to level set. So this all started the President ran on releasing the Epstein files. We talked about that. February 21st, Pam Bondi tells Fox that the client list is sitting on her desk. Late February, Bondi distributes the labeled phase 1 binders to right-wing influencers, right? In May, Wall Street Journal reports that Bondi informed Trump that his name appears in the Epstein files. These files are also reportedly contained unverified hearsay about Trump, images of child porn, identifying details on victims, raising concerns about the release. According to Senator Dick Durbin, FBI agents were instructed to flag any records mentioning Trump, and many files were redacted due to privacy or FOIA exemption concerns. In June, after Milan separated from the administration, he said that at real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Okay, we know that he was in there. We know that. We know that. July, the DOJ and the FBI issued a memo stating that no client list exists, suggesting that's why the files weren't public. The no Epstein list exists. There's no evidence of blackmail and no further disclosures that will be made. July 12th, 2025, on True Social, Trump defends Bondi's handling and dismisses criticism, urging MAGA supporters not to waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Okay. July 17, Wall Street Journal reveals the birthday album, including suggestive letters, to say the least. Don't forget, we got that information. We got confirmation of this. This is what they talked about. The note that Trump wrote, right, with his signature at the bottom. We got, what else did we get? We got this horrible image of what is obviously Jeffrey Epstein handing balloons and lollipops to young girls in 1983, and then 20 years later, you can draw your own conclusions. And then we also got this thing, which is really weird. So this letter was in there as well, and it's hard to read, but I will decipher it for you. This is what it says. It says, Jeffrey showing early talents with money and women sells, quote, fully depreciated, redacted, the name of this person, but a young woman, to Donald Trump for $22,500. Showed early people skills too. Even though I handled the deal, I didn't get any of the money or the girls. That's cool, right? You guys good with that, MAGA? Nothing to see here, right? No big deal. So again, back to this. So that was in there. So that's all what we know. There's more information that's coming out. A lot of it's very salacious, and it's just more evidence. Okay. So obviously that signature was just drawn on there. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Somebody just said it. I think you love it, MAGA. I think that's the problem. That's why it's difficult for us to kind of break through, because you love it. You'd love to have a depreciated girl. You'd love to have girls massaging you. Girls. You'd love to do that. You know you would. Okay? So then that brings us to some of the pushback that we're getting from the right now. Okay? What does it show? What does that show? It shows that Donald Trump is in this community along with other people. And again, this is not just about Trump. This is about anybody. This is about any high-ranking individual, any prominent, even if they're not high-ranking, even if they're a fucking nobody. I don't care. I don't care in what area of life. I don't care what they do for work. I don't give a shit who they vote for. I don't give a fuck if they've raised millions of dollars for childhood cancer charities. I don't give a fuck. If you're connected to this shit, and that's the thing about it, everybody knew. Everybody knew about this. Everybody knew. All the people involved knew. They even acknowledge it. They make jokes about it. Somebody draws a cartoon picture of Epstein handing balloons and lollipops to young girls in the same image 20 years later. What do you think that alludes to? Again, you like it. In fact, you guys love it. So let's kind of go back in time a little bit, since there's the timeline. We've completed that. So now we're up to the point now where the information's been released and they are trying to scramble their way out of it. So I'm first going to play for you. This was Mr. Trump last night. He was out in the streets of D.C. In case you haven't seen the video yet, he and members of the cabinet, Pete Hegseth and Secretary Rubio and others, went to the steak joint in D.C. and they got booed mercilessly. Women calling him, America's Schmittler, blah, 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 blah. I have no evidence. No, we do have evidence, Bear. We do have evidence. You don't want to believe it. We do have evidence. You don't want to believe it. Just like we've had evidence of everything else, you don't want to believe it because you like it, Bear. You like it. Because for some reason in your life, you've never been loved, maybe never been hugged. So you want to try to find somebody to blame for your mediocrity. So here we are. So this was Mr. Trump last night. And this is important because they're talking about the signatures, okay?
You signed the Epstein birthday letter.
It's not my signature, and it's not the way I speak. And anybody that's covered me for a long time know that's not my language. It's nonsense. And frankly, you're wasting your time. All you do is trying to get off the great success of D.C. and about 200 other things we've done that are so successful. This is a great, great success, and we have so many. I don't think any president in their first 8 months has had anywhere near the success that we've had.
Will you meet with the Epstein victims? Do you plan to meet with?
I don't know about. Nobody suggested that. Certainly, I don't like that whole situation with respect to anybody being abused or hurt. But I haven't even thought about that. Thank you all very much. Have a good time.
Okay. Hey, Vic. It's an interesting question. You may want to ask yourself that. I'm completely fine. As you age, as men age, we do have a reduced testosterone levels. So I appreciate you asking. I mean, maybe I'll ask my doctor next time I go talk to him because I do try to take care of myself. Mr. President, first of all, you are the president of the United States. You could invite the survivors to the White House at any point. At any point. I just want to play that sound again because it's very interesting.
You signed the Epstein birthday letter.
It's not my signature, and it's not the way I speak. And anybody that's covered me for a long time, no, that's not my language. It's nonsense. And frankly, you're wasting your time. All you do is trying to get off the great success of D.C. and about 200 other things we've done that are so successful. This is a great, great success, and we have so many. I don't think any president in their first 8 months has had anywhere near the success that we've had.
Will you meet with the Epstein victims? Do you plan to meet with?
I don't know about. Nobody suggested that. Certainly, I don't like that whole situation with respect to anybody being abused or hurt. But I haven't even thought about that. Thank you all very much. Have a good time.
Clayton Bigsby, you don't know how government works, because the Democrats did organize a press conference. The Democrats, along with Thomas Massie, that was the press conference outside the Capitol. Democrats don't hold the majority in any of the houses in our government. Therefore, they can't call witnesses. I just want to let you know that. You don't know that. I mean, it's a nice pivot, but the president of the United States, who's the one that's implicated in all this, has the power to invite anybody he wants. And like you just said, I don't know about that stuff. I really don't care. I'm not bothered by it. Okay, so it's good to know. It's good to know that you really don't know anything. You don't know how government works, first of all. And again, it's a pivot. So friends, what I want you to do today is just watch the pivots. Watch how they are going to try to deflect, because they've been trained. So MAGA men in particular have been indoctrinated. They've been groomed by right-wing media. They've been groomed by the echo chamber. They've been groomed by the cult to deflect and distract and pivot and straw man and all the kind of shit that they don't even know what means, but they do it. They do it. So that's Mr. Trump last night. And then we get this press conference, which was so wild. I'm not even sure how to describe it. Let's start here. This one's interesting. This one is wild. Again, a lot of the controversy is around the signatures, right? That's what the controversy is around now. He's trying to deflect away, because initially, don't forget, initially they said that this thing right here, where is it? That this didn't exist. That was the initial claim, that this didn't exist. So that was the evidence to, or the impetus for Trump to sue the Wall Street Journal. Okay, we know it exists because it was in, first of all, they reported on it accurately, so we know it exists, right? So then all of the rigmarole about all that shit, right? All of that. So we know that that's a lie, which means the lawsuit's going to fail miserably. In fact, they're going to drop it because he's not going to want to go through discovery. And then it comes down to the signature. So this is Caroline, again, after her prayer meeting, and yes, she's wearing her cross. And I'm going to play this for you, then I got to run over. Somebody's at my door. I'll be right back.
Of the Epstein case, would the White House support to prove that it's not the president's signature?
Sure, we would support that. And in fact, I have already seen many forensic analysts of signatures coming out. I believe it was the Daily Signal that published a piece with 3 separate signature analysts who said that this absolutely was not the president's authentic signature. And we have maintained that position all along. The president did not write this letter. He did not sign this letter. And that's why the president's external legal team is aggressively pursuing litigation against the Wall Street Journal, and they will continue to.
Sorry, when you work from home, you have to, stuff gets delivered, and it comes all kinds of times. Anyway, so you heard her talk about the Daily Signal, right? That was her source, saying she saw reporting from the Daily Signal. I'm like, I've heard of the Daily Signal before. Like, where have I heard that? So I went to Media Bias Fact Check to determine their credibility. They are listed as far right with mixed to low factual reporting. Overall, we rate the Daily Signal far right biased based on story selection and editorial positions that always favors the right. We also rate them factual rather than high due to not aligning with the consensus of science regarding human influence climate change, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do you guys want to take a guess who owns the Daily Signal? Anybody want to take a guess who owns it? I'm going to tell you. The Heritage Foundation. How funny? How funny is it that, exactly, how funny that the Heritage Foundation the authors of Project 2025, basically the blueprint for the fascist takeover of our country is the news agency news that she's citing in an attempt to say the handwriting analysts have looked at all this. I saw reporting on it from the Daily Signal, and we're going to go with that. So then are all these signatures fake as well? Letter to Rudy Giuliani in 2001. Letter to Rudy Giuliani or to New York officials in 1998. Another letter to Rudy. Another letter to Rudy. So all those are fake. Okay. Just want to make sure. So, because we got that too, right? And then this is the superimposed image. I have a better picture for you. How about this one? That's the letter, the Epstein letter, and that's a letter back in 1995. So are all those fake? Yeah, Clayton, I am. Oh, Clayton, God, you're having a tough day, buddy. Hold on, let's put this up. Let's pin this comment from Clayton. So are all those fake? So was the handwriting analyst and the analysis done on these, and those are all fake? Those are all forged? They're going to blame the auto pen? Exactly. They're talking about this in terms of the auto pen. So did Joe Biden go through a time machine? Did he hang out with Doctor Who and go back in time and sneak in and sign the autograph and autograph the picture, and then teleport back to the future? Is that what happened? So Joe Biden and the administration used the auto pen to sign something that's 20 years old? Okay. Yeah, that totally tracks. That totally tracks. Totally tracks. Who are you going to blame? Who are you going to blame other than the person who's involved? I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to embarrass him. Why are you so scared, Clayton?
I'm not. Why are you a fucking weirdo that let kids paint your nails?
Why are you so scared, Clayton?
Scared of what?
Everything. Masks, balloons, nail polish, vaccines, rainbow flags, science, math, books.
What does it say?
Teachers,
I'm afraid of it.
Water. You are.
Where?
Clayton, because you're a conservative male. You're a MAGA. You're a weak-ass beta. You're afraid of everything.
Oh, you guys like to talk shit from behind a screen.
You're proving my point, Clayton. Let's start again.
No, you literally just tried to tell me.
Clayton. What did you have for breakfast?
Here we go. You're going to overtalk.
No, I'm just asking you. What did you have for breakfast?
What did I have for breakfast?
Nobody cares. You see what I mean? Can you imagine being triggered by nail polish? Can you imagine being so weak and so soft that you get triggered by stuff like that? You start the day angry, and he's supposedly a veteran. Can you just imagine being that just completely desperate that you are trying to justify crimes against kids and you are looking for ways to defend it? Can you imagine that? This is why I say it is time to mock them and shame them. And shame them. I promise. That's who they are. That's who they are. All right, so we've got that story. So we've got the deflection from Caroline saying that we've had handwriting analysts do the determination, and those handwriting analysts, I saw somebody from the Daily Signal report, and the Daily Signal is owned by the Heritage Foundation. And that's all part of the game, right? That's all part of the spin. They're gonna try to align as many resources as they possibly can and throw as much chum out into the water as they possibly can because people like Clayton are too stupid to know any better. And they're gonna take that as the word. It's hilarious to me. I mean, handwriting analysis. Exactly, analysts. So that's just one piece. That's just one piece from this crazy ass press conference yesterday. It was wild. Got a little bit more for you from that same presser. Let's see. That's that one. All right. And then there's this one. Okay, here's another one. Listen to the deflections. Hold on. Sorry.
One of the other documents released by the House Oversight Committee contained a photo of Jeffrey Epstein holding an oversized check that was made out to him in the check from the president for $22,000 for a fully depreciated woman. I wondered if the president has any recollection of that, or what you guys make of that photo that was included in those documents.
Did you see the signature on that check? It is not Donald Trump's signature.
We know.
It is absolutely not. The president did not sign that.
We know that. We know that, Caroline. That's not the question he asked. We know that. Okay? We know that, Caroline. We know that. Clayton probably thinks this is nothing to see here either, right? Because Clayton's triggered by men who wear nail polish. And since nail polish was invented for men, alpha at the time, they were the epitome of masculinity. Epitome. Men who wore powdered wigs, men who painted their nails, men who wore high heel shoes, they were considered the epitome. So I'm bringing it back. But that's just you, Clayton. You can you can go back under your blanket and smell your own farts. So then we have more. Let me go back to this though. Yeah, that's funny. Okay. All right. So then we've got more. Don't worry. This press conference was wild. Okay, here we go.
You know, Mike Johnson, he came out and said that the president was an FBI informant. Do you know what he meant by that, if it's not true?
I can affirm that is not true. I think the speaker was referring to the fact that President Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago property for reasons the president has already discussed.
So the Speaker of the House, she just dunked on him. So the Speaker of the House went out and said that Trump was an FBI informant. Well, let's go back and think about, and let's talk about the things that Mike Johnson has actually said in regard to that, because I think it's interesting when he's put himself in this interesting position and then had to backtrack. So this is the original statement that he made, and listen to his words.
He's not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago.
So he spoke to the president. The president told him he was an FBI informant, and he went public with that. Well, now he's trapped a little bit because the press has caught up to him. Caroline Leavitt obviously said, no, he's not. And he got caught. And this was his response. Here you go.
What do you mean by that? All right. What I was referring to in that long conversation was what the victim's attorney said. More than a decade ago, President Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. And he was one of the only prominent people, as everyone has reported, not President Trump, but everybody about him, that he was willing to help law enforcement go after this guy who was a disgusting child abuser, sex trafficker, all the allegations. That's what they heard. So the president was helpful in that. I don't know if I use the right terminology, but that's common knowledge, and everybody knows that. So this is much ado about nothing.
Did the president tell you this specifically about his
I was recounting what others have said. The president and I have talked about the Epstein evils many times. He's as disgusted by it as everybody else. He has long had a history of acknowledging that, and he has said repeatedly he wants everything to come out, all credible information, everything for the American public to decide.
Was he ever asked to wear a wire or anything like that?
I have no idea. No, I'm not saying that. I have no information about that whatsoever. I was repeating what has been common knowledge for a long time. The president was helpful in trying to get Epstein, for the law enforcement to go after Epstein. That's always been my understanding. That's common knowledge. It's the public's understanding. I was not breaking news there. Okay, what I'm trying to emphasize is that the president is as disgusted about this as everyone is, all people of good conscience. We heard from the victims last week. It was gut-wrenching to hear their accounts. Many of them came out here and did it to a broader audience, to the public. But there's as many as 1,000 other victims, hundreds of young women, now some of them middle-aged women, who were subjected to these abuses for a long, long time, and justice is long overdue. So we're not just investigating Epstein and what happened, but why the justice system failed these women for so long. That is why the House Oversight Committee is on this so aggressively, and as you saw, the latest developments, I think Chairman Comer and some other members are going down to Florida. They're going down to the Epstein estate to look at visitor laws at the estate. By the way, none of this is encompassed in the discharge petition gambit. This is what the Oversight Committee is tasked to do. It is what they are doing in a bipartisan fashion. You have very aggressive members on both sides of the aisle that are on it, and we are greatly comforted by that. So we fully support it.
Thank you.
7 Mountain Mandate, servant of God, Mike Johnson, caught in a lie, and now he doesn't know what to do. And this kind of reminds me, like, I might have said this before, like, when you're hanging out with your friends and, you don't want your parents to know that you're going to a party. So it becomes like the telephone tag where there's 3 of you and each one of you is supposed to say that I'm at your house. And then you get your lives screwed up. And then your parents start calling around. Wait a minute, I thought they were at your house. Wait, I thought they were at your house. Wait, I thought they were your house. That's what it sounds like. Because they cannot run from this. So Caroline Levitt saying, no. Mike Johnson saying, yeah, he was. But wait, I might have used the wrong words. I'm sorry. In what arguably is the biggest political scandal ever in U.S. politics, and you just drop FBI informant? They can't get out of their own way. They can't get out of their own way. But people like our previous guest today like it. They don't care. They're fantasizing about it themselves. That's the problem. And you can tell because they're triggered by nail polish. It's hilarious. You can try to, so again, the press secretary's job, right? And I kind of serve as a de facto press secretary for some of my clients, is to be the voice of whatever it is that you're representing, whether it be, communications team within a corporation, in politics, whatever it might be. They tend to be the voice. And generally speaking, people don't talk about the president and the executive branch unless it's run through the speaker, through the communications department, right? So the communications director is technically the boss of the press secretary. So think about West Wing, right? The Toby Ziegler, C.J. Craig scenario, right? So the messaging comes from the White House, the Oval Office, is vetted through the comms team, and then is distributed to the press through the press secretary, Caroline. So she's going out saying, no, we don't. No. We don't believe that. We don't believe that. We've never said that. Let's play that sound again. I just want to make sure. I just want to keep track. Here we go.
Mike Johnson, he came out and said that the president was an FBI informant. Do you know what he meant by that? If it's not true.
I can affirm that is not true. I think the speaker was referring to the fact that President Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago property for reasons the president has already discussed. Okay. So once again, maybe Mike didn't check in, and then his scramble is wild. And every single day, there's little things here, right, that connect all these dots. Now they are trying to say that the signatures are forged, or we were wrong about the FBI informant language. Oh, don't worry. There's more, because this presser was just one of the wildest I've ever seen. Okay, this is what's this one? All right. Well, let me get back to that. Okay. Well, let's play this one right now, since this is relevant. The same press conference. Remember, Mr. Trump talked about crime in D.C. And he was concerned about violent crime and was really worried about how crime is sort of declining in D.C. I don't know if you caught this little nugget that he said. He was speaking at the Bible Museum. So here you go.
No crime. They said crime's down 87%. They said, no. It's more than 87%. Virtually nothing. Oh. And and much lesser things that take place in the home they call crime. You know, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say, this was a crime, see? So now I can't claim 100%.
Just a casual dismissal of domestic violence. Yeah. You know, if a husband has a little fight with the wife, yeah, let's just dismiss domestic violence, even though you were charged or accusations against Ivana against you because you pulled her hair so hard that you pulled it out of her head. Right. And then Caroline is then forced to respond to that because that's what press secretaries have to do when they face the press.
Yesterday, the president spoke about DC crime and talked about how there was virtually none. And then he expressed frustration about things that take place in the home they call crime. He said, you know, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this is crime. See, now I can't claim 100%. Exactly what crimes was the president referring to?
He wasn't referring to crimes. That's exactly the point he was making, Ouija.
But this is the pivot. Remember, the question was asked about the statement that I just played for you, and he said, when the man has a disagreement with the wife, not husband and wife, not man and woman, but man and wife.
The president is saying is that these crimes will be made up and reported as a crime to undermine the great work that the federal task force is doing to reduce crime in Washington, D.C. And I think the president has every reason to believe that, given the efforts of many reporters in this room who actively seek to undermine the president and what he's doing in our nation's capital. We all know that deep inside you all agree with this because you all live here, and I'm sure you are very grateful for the administration's efforts to make the city, which we all reside in, much safer for ourselves and our families. Michael.
What? Caroline, she prescribes to the man-wife theory, I'll bet, based on her religious history and her belief set. I just want to play that again, because again, the reporter asks, I want you to listen to the question the reporter asks, and then listen to Caroline's response. Okay, this is media training. She's gone through media training. Okay, I know that because I've trained people. And to be honest, if I was working in the administration and I was dealing with this controversy, that's how I would train her. That's how I would train her to answer this question, by not answering it.
Yesterday, the president spoke about DC crime and talked about how there was virtually none. And then he expressed frustration about things that take place in the home they call crime. He said, you know, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this is crime. See, now I can't claim 100%. Exactly what crimes was the president referring to?
He wasn't referring to crimes.
So again, the question was, please address that comment that he made. And this is her answer.
That's exactly the point he was making, Ouija. What the president is saying is that these crimes will be made up and reported as a crime.
And there it is. So domestic violence, not believing women, crimes committed in the home are made up to defend or to poke holes in the crime, the endeavor that the administration has to eradicate crime from the streets of DC. Exactly, lunacy. Absolute fucking lunacy. Absolute lunacy. They are so sloppy right now because they don't know how to get out from under this. And primarily because their base isn't buying it. I want people to think about this for a second. The press secretary, a woman, and I'm thinking about this. She's a young woman. She's obviously smart. What a great opportunity it is to be an example for other women who want to go into politics, right? What a great example. I mean, it's a prominent position. It's great. I mean, I'm a champion for women. It's great. But here we are. Here we are now. Here we are. She is defending what the president called nothing to see here. If the man has a little fight with the wife, and she's defending it. It's mind-boggling to me. She has to. It's her job. Somebody pointed this out, and I've been tracking this since Caroline was, initially put in the role. She has aged, and there's rumors of the Mar-a-Lago makeover. I don't know. I don't notice that, but she's aged, and you can see the stress in her face because she has to go out there every single day after the prayer circle, which is literally right outside the door of the press room, right? Right outside the door. They have their little circle, right? They burn shit or whatever the fuck they do there. And then she walks out to the press room and takes questions and answers questions like that. But wait, there's more, because the whole Maggie Haberman, who works for the Washington Post, she's one of my favorite journalists. She's amazing, and the way in which she asks questions, first of all, is great. Let me see if I can find the one that I really want to play for you, because that's the one that tells everything. Here we go.
Files are back in the news because a lot of Americans feel that Jeffrey Epstein's victims never got justice. Does the president care about these victims? Do you think he can does he want to deliver more justice for them, and is he willing to meet with them?
The president cares about victims of all crimes.
Really?
And that's why Republicans in the Trump Department of Justice have done more in terms of transparency when it comes to the Epstein case than any prior administration. And why are the Democrats all of a sudden caring about this? It's because they are desperately trying to concoct a hoax to smear the president of the United States. We have seen this time and time again. Ro Khanna and all of these other Democrats, they could have cared about those victims 4 years ago when Joe Biden was in office. They could have pushed for transparency then. Unfortunately, the Democrats are using victims as political pawns to try to smear and to push a hoax against the president of the United States. And I will get you numbers on the amount of child predators that this administration and this FBI and this Department of Justice have locked up under President Trump's leadership. We have done more than any president to protect victims of crime, especially disgusting, heinous sexual crimes. And that includes the deportation of illegal aliens who are perpetrating these crimes against innocent victims in our country right now today. And that remains a top priority for this administration.
There it is.
President, will he meet with the victims?
There it is. Let's make sure that we throw some red meat to our base and remind them of the brown people. And when Tom Homan says 70% of the people that ICE has detained either have a criminal record, and the other 30% are gang members without, and then we've already debunked that this morning as well. And then, Maggie Haberman, New York Times. I want to find this one clip because it's the one, because she asked the question, and I have it here someplace. Just give me a second, because there's so many. There's just so many to play. Hang on. I have it someplace. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Appreciate you. Here we go. This one right here. Again, listen for the answer. Okay, this is again. Here's some media training for all of us. Listen to the question that's asked, and then listen to the answer, and you can tell how desperate they are.
The Epstein documents are a hoax that Democrats are perpetrating against the president. You've said he didn't sign that check, that he didn't sign the birthday card that he allegedly signed. So what is the theory, since these documents came from the Epstein estate? Who is, I guess, in your view, faking these documents?
I did not say the documents are a hoax. I said...
Oh, Caroline, but you have many times. In fact, your boss calls it a hoax every single day. He calls it a hoax every single day, that it's made up. Caroline.
The entire narrative surrounding Jeffrey Epstein right now that is absorbing many of the liberal cable channels on television is a hoax that is being perpetuated by opportunistic Democrats like Ro Khanna and the others whom you saw on that press conference outside of Capitol Hill, who are trying to push this hoax against the president of the United States.
What exactly is the hoax? I'm just trying to understand what's fake.
The hoax?
What's fake is not the documents.
The hoax is the Democrats pretending to care about victims of crime when they do not care about victims of crime, when they have done nothing to solve crimes, when they have done nothing to lock up child pedophiles and child rapists across the country, and when they are now using victims as political props to try and, again, smear the president of the United States and drag on this bad story about him. It is a distraction administration. The Democrats view this story as nothing more than an attempt to distract from the accomplishments and the achievements of this administration. And that is what we mean when we call it a hoax.
If he didn't sign these, if you said he didn't sign the birthday card, he didn't do this, he also didn't do the check, those were in documents from the estate. So what is the working theory as to why he's in them?
The president has one of the most famous signatures in the world, and he has for many, many years. You know that, Maggie, you've covered him for a long time, long before he assumed this office when he was a businessman in New York. The president did not write that letter. He did not sign those documents. He maintains that position, and that position will be argued in court by his lawyers. The president is very confident he is going to win this case.
She started that dribble by saying, I never said the documents were a hoax. And then she ended by acknowledging the fact that the documents exist and that the signature was a hoax. Do you see what I mean? When you are caught in so many lies and you have nowhere to go, because every single time when this is why you need good journalists. And Maggie Haberman is one of the best. This is why. You said the Epstein documents are a hoax. So what is the theory since these documents came from the Epstein estate? Levitt, I did not say the documents are a hoax. I said the entire narrative surrounding JE right now is a hoax that is being perpetuated by opportunistic Democrats like Ro Khanna. What exactly is the hoax? I'm just trying to understand what's fake. Levitt, the hoax is Democrats pretending to care about victims of crime. It's a distraction. Oh, okay. You see what I mean? See what I mean? Please keep tapping and sharing. Let me just check in here real quick. And by the way, nothing on True Social about it. Nothing about the victims. Nothing about offering an opportunity for the survivors to come in and testify. None of that. Nope. None of that. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Not at all. Thank you, Terry. Terry says good morning. Thank you for $2, Terry, on the CA. I appreciate you guys. We are crowdfunded here. If you want to support the channel, best way to do that is at Factsstillmatter. You can find me in all the socials. That was a wild series of events. And then so from my perspective, I was trying to ask, what are they going to focus on? And I was right. They're going to focus on the signatures. That's the only thing they have left. They're going to attempt to say, yeah, exactly why the dog. They're going to attempt to say that the signatures aren't real. But don't forget, everything that they've said up until this point is that none of the stuff that was in the birthday book even existed. They said it was not real. They said it was fake. They said that was the hoax. So Caroline just lied multiple times in that little statement, multiple times. And even within the lie, she lied. They said that was where the lawsuit came from. That was the initial $10 billion lawsuit against News Corp, the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch-owned property. That's why that was the entire basis for the complaint. What's the argument now? Because we know it exists. So they're going to drop the lawsuit. They have to, because he doesn't want it to go public. Just because it use it as saber rattling. Have you noticed I've been watching True Social for this. Have you noticed? There's nothing. He doesn't even acknowledge this. He's not even talking about it on True Social. Doesn't even talk about it. So then you get the cult doing the rounds, attempting to try to defend this. You're going to hear from Tim Burchett. You're going to hear from Byron Donald. This is just pitiful. These people they're just done. Here you go.
From what I see, it's not a signature. I've seen Donald Trump sign a million things.
This doesn't look like his signature to you?
Nope, doesn't look like it.
So the reporter shows him the signature. He's like, nope, doesn't look like it.
I've watched him sign nonstop.
Well, I don't know. I mean, anybody can do a signature. We've seen the auto pen's been used quite a bit with the Biden administration. So I've never known Trump to be much of an artist either.
I highly doubt that it is. I don't think that if that is true, and he did sign that letter.
I don't know if there's anything there. Okay.
Trump signatures back to back, the one on this letter as well as others that were his signature around that same time, they appear to match. What do you make of the reaction we just played?
I mean, look, the reality is that they are bold-faced lying, and they know that they are lying for Donald Trump. We also know that Donald Trump has called this whole thing a hoax, and we have literal survivors here pleading and begging to the president to not give Ghislaine Maxwell special treatment and to please come clean about this cover-up and to release the files. And at the same time, we know the president has said that this birthday book and note, that somehow it didn't exist. And it's been there in the Epstein estate now for decades. So what the president is saying that somehow this note was planted many years ago and the signature matches it exactly. And we know, of course, that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, according to Epstein, were best friends for over a decade. Give me a break. Here are the facts. Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were incredibly close. There's numerous accounts, photos, videos of them together. They have exchanged, of course, their time when they were in Florida and in New York, they've exchanged numerous support of each other. And we also know that during the campaign, Donald Trump made it clear that he would release the Epstein files. Correct. Then he gets into office, and now he's refusing to do so. What's happening right now is a White House cover-up.
Correct. It's a cover-up. And just as a mental note I made to myself, Caroline Leavitt's from New Hampshire. Okay. It's an obvious cover-up. And the way I look at this is it's not just about MAGA Republicans protecting Trump. They're protecting themselves because they have hitched their wagon to that train wreck. So they are prepared to go over the cliff with him because they have no choice. They can't come out now. They can't go back to their district and say, hey, I signed this, because their political careers are over. So that's where they're at. And then I was thinking about something that I remembered. Do you guys know the name? When I say the name Jonathan Swan, Jonathan Swan is a British reporter, or Australian. I think he's British. He works for Axios. And he did this really famous interview with Mr. Trump during the first term. Okay. I'm like, did they talk about anything? So because I don't sleep, I was up. And then I found this little nugget. Okay. I found this little nugget that I forgot all about. So here you go.
President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
I don't know that, but I do know that
she has. She's been arrested for that.
Her friend or boyfriend,
Epstein,
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, you do know that.
Oh, so you're saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody. And they took that and
she's a alleged child sex trafficker.
Big deal. But all it is her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he killed? Was it suicide? I wish.
Okay. So let's just go back a second and let's just remind people what Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of. At that point, allegations. This was during the first term. He wished her well. He wished her well. I didn't know anything about that. Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted in December 2021 in U.S. federal court on 5 criminal counts related to her role in Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking operation. Number 1, trafficking of a minor for recruiting, grooming, and facilitating the abuse of underage girls by Epstein. 2, conspiracy to commit trafficking of minors, working with Epstein to carry out the abuse. 3, transportation of a minor with intent to engage in illegal activity, arranging for underage girls to travel for Epstein's abuse. 4, conspiracy to transport minors with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, planning and coordinating such travel. And 5, conspiracy to entice minors to travel to engage in illegal acts, recruiting and encouraging minors to be exploited. 20 years in prison. She got moved from the minimum security prison that she was in to a country club. Shouldn't have been moved based on the Bureau of Prisons policies that sexual offenders do not get that treatment. Do not get that treatment. I saw somebody say, oh, we're going to tell our daughters not to date a lib. Okay. Then sadly that they'll never be satisfied in their life. Sorry to tell you that. So that's the president of the United States in that infamous interview. I just want to play that one part again because I think it's just really telling.
Just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
I don't know that, but I do know that.
You don't know that? She's been arrested for that.
Her friend or boyfriend,
Epstein,
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well.
You would wish that person well? She was arrested during your administration, sir. Jeffrey Epstein went to jail during your administration, sir. And you wished her well. And then your Justice Department moved her. Your Justice Department moved her. Yeah. We also have some sound from the Australian 60 Minutes that I think is interesting. That the Australian 60 Minutes does a better job of covering this story than our own domestic news agencies. We're going to hear Ghislaine Maxwell's voice. So trigger warnings, my apologies, but I think to tell this story, we need to get it all out there. So she's being interviewed from her jail cell. This is before she was moved.
You look back and what do you think your biggest mistake was?
I obviously wish I'd never met her because I didn't know that he was so awful. I mean, obviously now, looking back with hindsight, of course.
Do you consider yourself a victim of Jeffrey?
Well, I don't love the use of the word victim.
But she was asked if she considers herself a victim, okay? And her spin here is wild.
Clearly, the fact that I worked for him and that I spent time with him and knew him has devastated my life and hurt many people that I love and hold dear that are around me.
He hurt many people. Did you hear that? He hurt many people. Okay.
Do you feel safe in jail? Do you feel safe because there was threats on your life? So do you feel safe?
Yes, I feel safe. I don't have any safety issues.
Because as you told me, jails are sometimes dangerous, and Jeffrey Epstein died in jail. Do you believe that he committed suicide? Because many don't.
Okay, this is the question. Question she asked, do you believe he took his own life? Because many don't.
No, he didn't. I don't believe he did.
Ooh, the plot thickens.
I believe that he was murdered.
I don't know if we have a bit. I don't know. I hope you guys appreciate that little sort of connecting the dots here, because to me, it all boils down to a few truths. Well, depending on your perspective, lies or truths. The president of the United States is implicated in this in numerous ways. I believe in due process. I believe that anybody who is charged with a crime deserves their day in court. I believe that, which is why I don't defend individuals. I defend their rights. We can use Mr. Garcia, for example, Abrego Garcia. People, they use his name a lot. I'm not defending him. I'm defending his rights. So here we are. We've got the president of the United States at one point during his first administration telling a predator, let's be real, that I wish you well. I wish you well. So it's one of two things, MAGA. Either he is so fucking stupid, he had no idea that any of this was happening around him, but he still wished her well. So if he was an FBI agent, an FBI informant, or he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago because of all these horrible things that he said, although there's multiple lies, he obviously knows who Ghislaine Maxwell is because there's pictures of them together. He obviously knows. Do I have a picture? Sure, I probably do. Knows her. He obviously knows that this guy's predatory. He obviously knows that just because of the timeline, just because of the timeline of their friendship. So then what's he going to say? Well, I wish her well. You wish her well? You wished her well? You wish this person well who abused women? Girls who went to jail for it? Who should be rotting behind bars? And you moved her as part of a conversation with your attorney general who used to be your lawyer? And she's now she gets to do yoga and Pilates and make vegan burgers? Children. And you wished her well? And there's rumors of these pardons? And then you expect everybody else to believe that your signatures aren't on these documents? That you don't have a 40-year friendship? That Jeffrey Epstein didn't call you his closest friend? That you said that you and Jeff have lots in common? Terrific guy. He likes women, many on the young side. You have that in common? And your own press secretary can't keep her lies straight? And your Speaker of the House can't keep his lies straight? And you and the liberals are the ones that are weak? Katie Johnson, say her name, even though it's a pseudonym. Is that what you're asking people to believe? And the thing is, MAGA, for those of you that are in the chat this morning, for those of you that are here, he knows that he can just lie to you and you'll believe it. He knows that. He knows that he can just continue to lie to you, and it doesn't matter what the lies are. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. No, Jersey girl. Katie Johnson, the one that lost 3 times in court, lack of evidence? No, she was threatened. She was threatened on numerous occasions. So you're not going to believe another woman, Jersey girl. That's interesting. Yeah. You heard the sound. I wish her well. We know the evidence. So there's a little bit more to this. And let me bring this back up again because I know it's really triggering for MAGA dudes because they're afraid to have this conversation with their own children, which is wild, but I'm not surprised by that. Everybody keep tapping and sharing, please. Do I have that? Hang on a second. So this is part of the transcript. The interview, Rachel Maddow did this breakdown last night or the night before. This is part of the transcript, the interview that Todd Blanche had with Ghislaine Maxwell. First of all, that is just completely something that just doesn't happen. You don't do those things. You don't have the deputy attorney general go and meet with a convicted felon and then coincidentally have that convicted felon move to basically a country club with some barbed wire. All right. So there's a nugget in here that I want you guys to hear in this conversation.
Who's in prison, a 20-year sentence because of her crimes she committed with Jeffrey Epstein. She says, hey, members of Donald Trump's cabinet were involved with this thing that I was part of. Were involved with Epstein. She said, plural, right? Some are in your cabinet. Some are in your cabinet who you value as your coworkers. Multiple members of the president's cabinet were involved with Jeffrey Epstein. And the response to her volunteering this in this interview is not, who? Which members of the cabinet? Say what now? The response is, long pause. Let's move on.
Here's the sound.
I really don't. If you met Epstein, there is no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, some are in your cabinet.
Some are in your cabinet. This is the quote. Did I think that these guys were coming for that? I really don't. If you met Epstein, there's no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, and some are in your cabinet who you value as coworkers. And then Todd Blanche says, so what's the last time you think you were with Mr. Epstein when he got a massage? Here's more of the
who you value as your co-workers and you know would be with him if he was a creep or because they wanted sexual favors. A man wants sexual favors, he will find that. They didn't have to come to Epstein for that. Now, did some... Okay, I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't see it.
And Todd Blanche did not ask a question. Who? Again, the quote, did I think these guys were coming for that? I really don't know. If you met Epstein, there is no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, and some are in your cabinet who you value as your coworkers. So, again, here we are, more lies. Because after the highly edited portion of her testimony got released into the magosphere, when she said that Donald Trump, she didn't see Donald Trump do anything bad. And that was all they heard. And then people were like, see that? Ghislaine Maxwell. First of all, for people to take her word for it doesn't surprise us. Don't forget, we know that she was also charged with multiple counts of perjury. The perjury charges were dropped because she got convicted, and they sent her to jail for the other 5 crimes, which were worse. But so she lied about all of it. She lied about her connections. She lied about her relationships. She lied about whether she trafficked girls, all that kind of shit. And the evidence was overwhelming against her. They dropped the perjury charges because she got convicted, right? So MAGA jumped on the fact that she said, I didn't see Trump participate in any of this shit. That's all you heard. And MAGA's like, you see? She said it. Okay, so then you believe women. She also said in the same testimony that she didn't see Bill Clinton participate in any of it either. But the right-wing spaces didn't play that for you. So here's a question, MAGA. Do you believe that Bill Clinton was involved? If you do, then you're taking Ghislaine Maxwell's word for it. Therefore, you have to take her word for it that Trump was involved too. Because if you want to go down the road that you think Clinton is the guy is culpable in this, then you have to accept the fact that she said, I didn't see him do it. So therefore, that narrative's gone. Because if you're going to believe her when she said that she didn't see Trump, then you have to believe her that she didn't see Clinton either. And then now we have this. Now we have her saying, again, I quote, this is from the transcript, and you heard the audio. So is that made up? Is that AI? Is that all fake? This is the audio. This is the same transcript, the same interview that you had, the same news, the same story that you chose to believe when you heard it played on Newsmax and we heard it played on Fox. This is the exact same interview. The interview, again, by the way, that also included her getting moved to the Motel 6, basically, with waffles and yoga. All right? Did I think these guys were coming for that? I really don't know. If you met Epstein, there's no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, and some are in your cabinet. Because don't forget, Todd Blanche is in the cabinet because he's part of the Department of Justice. Pam Bondi's a cabinet official. The AG is a cabinet member. Did I think that these guys were coming for that? I really don't know. If you met Epstein, there's no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, and some are in your cabinet, who you value as your coworkers and you know would be with him. So there's some reconciliation that you're going to need to do, MAGA. That's a big word. You're going to have to come to terms with some shit. What are you going to believe? Are you going to believe Mike Johnson that Trump's an FBI informant? Are you going to believe Caroline Leavitt that he's not an FBI informant? Are you going to believe that the documents don't exist? Or are you going to believe that they do exist, but the signatures were forged? Are you going to believe that the signatures are forged? Then that would mean that Joe Biden went back in time 30 years, 20 years, and signed them with the auto pen, and then came forward to the future? You guys are stuck. You're stuck. You're in a spot now where you cannot run from this. So you're going to get more angry and angry and angry and angrier. You cannot run from this. We're not going to let you run from it. I can promise you that. I'm not. I'm not going to let you run from it because it's just all right there. It's all right there. I know likely nothing's going to happen. So if we were to game this out, and I was thinking about this last night, if we were to game this out, we could say things like, oh, I don't know, because he's in failing health, we know that. There's been some pictures captured of what looks like some type of a ventricular pump that he wears now because his heart's not beating enough. He's got that venous disease or that condition that doesn't allow the blood to come back from his feet, which is why he has the cankles, all that kind of stuff. Whatever that might be, we've seen enough evidence and we know that kind of shit, right? Maybe he uses his health as a reason to step aside. And then he gets a pardon from J.D. Vance. Would it surprise you? Of course not. Of course not. And then you know what's going to end up happening? I'll predict it. If that were the case, I'll predict it. They will say, well, Joe Biden gave Hunter a pardon. Joe Biden gave the J6 committee a pardon. And it will go onto the dustbin of history. And he'll get away with his shit. Because he's not going to face justice. Because he has an opportunity to bring in the survivors, right? He's got an opportunity to bring them in. He has an opportunity to prove Caroline Leavitt right. That he's the most transparent. He's on the side of survivors. He's on the side of victims. No, you can. It's called a preemptive pardon. Well, those are state charges. Yeah, it's different, but we're talking federally. Because this would be a federal crime now because there's trafficking. That's federal. And don't forget, we've got Alex Acosta, who at some point is supposed to testify. I don't know when that is. I think it's coming up. Might be next week. He's supposed to testify. He's the one that's connected to this deeper than anybody else. All right. I'm going to play a little bit more sound for you. Here you go.
Mr. President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican.
This is Haley Robson. She was one of the survivors that spoke on the Capitol steps last week.
Not that that matters because this is not political. However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax.
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know?
Hang on, let me play this again.
Because we need it now, and this country needs it now.
Mr. President Donald J. Trump, to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax.
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, situation. We gave them everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, documents have been given, but it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people as a nation since I've been president.
And again, that was the president speaking. These women begged him to force the Justice Department to release the documents and said it wasn't a hoax.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, this line that it's a Democratic hoax is new in the last several months. I mean, this isn't something that President Trump had been calling a hoax for years. I mean, you even heard the attorneys for Epstein survivors there talking about how Donald Trump used to be helpful to him back in 2009. And we know that President Trump had at certain points said that they should be released. All of the...
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, like, what you're going to start to see, like if you spend any time in the TikTok streets, you're going to see the reactions that we got from some of our guests this morning. They can't address it because they don't know what lie they're supposed to believe because there's been so many. Like I said, we went through the list, right? Do I believe that Mike Johnson is do they believe that? Because I saw that. I heard them say that. Here's the funny thing about it, you guys. This is why education is important, okay? Because people who could critically think would look at this and say, okay, you see, he's an FBI informant. And then what they fail to forget, what they fail to remember is that it couldn't be a hoax if he was an FBI informant. What would he be informing on? That would mean that there was no hoax. That would mean it's real. And they jumped on that. Like, see that? Mike Johnson said himself, he's an FBI informant. And then the next day, The next day, Mike Johnson says, no, he just told me something. And then Caroline Leavitt said, nope, not an FBI informant. Because they need to stick to the hoax theory. He ran on releasing it. His Justice Department ran on releasing it. His Justice Department told the American people, we are looking out for you. We will get to the truth. Just to go back in time. Starting with February, the promises made, Attorney General Pam Bondi sitting on my desk, then it became the famous visuals of these binders being handed out to right-wing influencers. And a lot of those right-wing influencers said, I was fucking duped. There was nothing in there. We were promised all this bullshit. They were all giddy. We're going to get everybody. We're going to get the deep state. We're going to get them all. May 2025, Wall Street Journal reports and the New York Times that revealed that Bondi informed Trump that his name appears in the files. These files also reportedly contain unverified hearsay about Trump, images of child porn, identifying details of victims, and raising concerns about the release. According to Senator Dick Durbin, FBI agents were instructed to flag any records mentioning Trump. There's been whistleblowers on this to confirm it. Many files were redacted due to privacy or FOIA exemptions, Freedom of Information Act exemptions. In June, Elon goes at real Donald Trump's in the Epstein files. July 7th, DOJ and FBI issue a memo stating that the client list does not exist. There's no evidence of blackmail. No further disclosures will be made. July 12th on Truth Social. And then after that, Pam Bondi went dark. On Truth Social on July 12th, Trump defends Bondi's handling and dismisses criticism, urging MAGA supporters to not waste time and energy. Why would he tell his supporters to not waste time and energy? Why do you think he would do that? Why do you think he would do that? God, I'm not sure. He tells them to not waste time and energy, basically dismissing them. Some people have been duped. Some of my supporters have been fooled. Why are they doing that? Okay. July 16th, Trump calls the Epstein files a totally fake and made up story, a hoax crafted by Democrats, labeling the controversy a scam and a Jeffrey Epstein hoax. July 17th, the Wall Street Journal reveals the 50th birthday album includes a sexually suggestive letter bearing Trump's signature and a drawing. Trump denies authoring or signing it and sues the Wall Street Journal and its parent companies for defamation. Trump demands the DOJ release all pertinent grand jury testimony. Bondi responds that they're prepared to move on a court to unseal it. July through August, judges refused to unseal grand jury materials, stating that the records would not reveal meaningful new information. Maxwell's attorneys also opposed the disclosure. On August 20th, the DOJ agrees to provide files to Congress with bipartisan demands for transparency. August 22nd, as files move to Congress, Trump downplays the matter, quote, innocent people shouldn't be hurt, and expresses support for keeping it totally open while appearing indifferent to the victim's plight. On September 3rd, survivors appear at Capitol Hill demanding full disclosure. Trump calls the events a political distraction. The White House denies allegations by former Trump aide Jack O'Donnell of underage encounters, calling him not credible. September 8th, the House Oversight Committee releases the files, including the birthday book with the controversial letter, a sketch of a naked woman, and salacious phrasing. Trump again denies any involvement, calling it fake, and has filed a $10 billion lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal for reporting it. That's the timeline. Like, what can you possibly say? So this is why I say, and I don't mean I do not in any way mean to dismiss the survivors of this case, but the cover-up is worse. Because the cover-up not only probably brings back trauma, some PTSD connected to it, but the entire thing, he's trying to tell the world that it's just all fake, that it's all a hoax, nothing to see here. And his own team can't keep their fucking lies straight. They just can't. They can't keep their lies straight. I don't even know. Let me just double check here. Thank you, Dana. You're very sweet. Hang on a second. Tracy, you're welcome. Thank you for saying that. MAGA flavored pretzels at Auntie Anne's from No Fear. Thank you guys. You guys are very kind. See if we can bang this out today. Again, I don't know. We don't know where this is going to go. But to me, to be honest, I don't want this just to be about Trump. First of all, it shouldn't be about any of the perpetrators. It needs to be about the survivors, right? I believe women. Okay, that's what this should be about. If our society just believed women in general, then these things would not be as controversial as they are, right? So when you're out there in your spaces and you guys are trolling the TikTok streets, okay, when you're out there doing your thing and you're traveling around and you're watching lives, just watch how desperate the most ardent Trump supporters are. You know who they are. You know who they are. They go into spaces, right? You know who they are. They are so angry. They're angry. They think that they're angry at Democrats. They're angry because they don't know what lie to believe. And many of them are just not smart enough to navigate through it. Just not smart enough. Survivors need justice. And again, MAGA dads, with all this information, we've already seen one person say this morning that they would just continue to lie to their daughter. Mike Johnson did have fear in his voice. So, how are you going to have that conversation with your kids? How? Hey, Chris. Hey,
what's going on, Stevie? How's everything?
I'm doing good, my guy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, there's a couple underlying stories that aren't being published. First off, how do you feel Trump's kids feel when they found out that he actually does acknowledge other people's birthdays?
Yeah. It's a good point.
Also,
good point.
Who is the person who had the great foresight 20 some odd years ago to fake this letter and put it in Epstein's file, knowing that Trump eventually would become president? I mean, it was Joe Biden. It was Joe Biden, Chris. He went back in time and did it with the auto pen. Oh, so he figured out the space-time continuum.
Time travel.
Oh, great.
Correct.
Okay.
He did. Yeah,
That's
but he's a feeble, weak, dementia-ridden, real old man, but he figured out time travel to be able to go back in time with the auto pen and sign it.
Well, why didn't he just go back in time even further and just unalive baby Trump?
Yeah, that doesn't. But I see. We've all seen too many movies about time travel. That can't happen.
Yeah, it just screws up the whole timeline and so forth.
Exactly.
But the thing is, this is a perfect example of those who don't learn from history doomed to repeat it. This is stupid Watergate because they're making it worse. Because everybody knows he would be in the files because he was best friends with Epstein. We all know that. That's all
correct.
Fact. But the fact of the matter is, unless there's something in those files that puts him directly with an underage girl, what's going to happen? We know he's in the files because he was around Epstein, but unless you got Katie Johnson coming forward under oath, unless you have a tape of him, you're not going to prove everything. All it's going to do is, he partied with Epstein. We all know he partied with Epstein. So they're making it far, far worse by denying, saying, just come out and say, yeah, I sent him, I was good friends with him at the time because I didn't know at the time. Just come up with some bullshit like that. But no, just, saying, it's fake, it's a hoax, it's this, it's that. It just makes it far, far worse.
Correct.
I
don't disagree with you. Yep.
It's ridiculous. So,
well, I mean, you're right. I mean, I think that's why I said earlier, this can't just be about Trump. Everybody, this needs to be about the people who are doing these horrible things to children. And it can't just be about him. He's going to have political cover. He's got levers that he can pull that nobody else can. So the court of public opinion is the thing that he fears the most. He doesn't feel legal consequences. He doesn't feel that because he'll just get a pardon. He'll get a pardon when he leaves the White House. Either way, whether he's wheeled out or if he just leaves on his own, he's going to get a pardon. So he's going to get away with this shit just like he did before. And that's the thing about what MAGA won't accept is that why would he need a pardon, MAGA? If all these things that he's done are above the board and he's not committed any crimes and he's not been corrupt and he's not led a coup and he's not enriched himself in the back of the presidency and all this other shit, Why would he need a pardon if those things are above board? And they'll find some way to spin it. They will find some way to spin it.
Yeah, no.
But the other people that are connected to this shit, they're the ones that are going to be. History will remember all of them. Quite frankly.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people he's around who are involved in this. You know, but I don't think he's doing it to protect them unless there's something in it for him, because everything with him is transactional. So he's not covering for someone out of the goodness of his heart. That's not happening.
Correct. You're right. Thanks for jumping in today, buddy.
All right, pal. How about early?
Pretty nice, right? Yeah. Love that.
All right.
Love that. Big series this weekend. See you, buddy. See you later. Yeah, so I want people to think about this for a second, okay? He is going to get away with this, right? That is just the reality of our system. He's going to get a pardon, or he's going to get or whatever it might be. He's going to get away with it, and then he'll turn. Then the grift will get ramped up. He'll claim that it was a political witch hunt, and he just needed the pardon because he didn't want frivolous lawsuits against him or whatever. And then it got me thinking about. I wrote a list. Let's talk about some of the biggest controversies that we've ever seen, at least in my lifetime that I can remember. So we've got this, which I think is the biggest political controversy. We got Watergate, which was Republicans. We've got Iran-Contra, which was Republicans. We've got 9/11, which was Republicans. We've got the lies regarding the weapons of mass destruction, which was Republicans. We got the Great Recession in 2008, which was Republicans. We've got COVID deaths, Republicans, and we've got a coup attempt, Republicans. What do we have on the Democrat side? Let's see. We've got a blowjob and a tan suit. I think that's about it. We've got 50 million jobs created since 1980. 51 million jobs, 52 million jobs, 50 of which created by Democrats. Civil rights legislation. Jobs being created. Economic reform. Yeah, and even then, yeah, the whole consensual thing, yeah, okay. But he was in a position of power, so I don't buy any of that. He shouldn't have done it. Just there's no defense to it. Call it consensual, but it's just the position of power, the power he held over her. So we'll leave that right there. But again, blowjob, tan suit, Democrat, Watergate, Iran-Contra, 9/11, Iraq War lie, Great Recession, COVID deaths, coup attempt. Yeah, Hillary's emails. Yeah, Hillary's emails. Right, that they never charged any crimes. Benghazi, but they never charged any crimes. Joe Biden in the Biden crime family, but they haven't charged any crimes. Okay. Just a couple more bits of sound that I would like to play for you guys. And then we're going to just kind of, I'm not going to say pivot. We're going to move to a topic that pisses me off because I was fucking right about it last week. And we'll get into that in just a moment. This is, let's see if I can find the right one. This was a moment, and I might have played this for you guys before. I don't recall if I did, but this was Mr. Trump years ago with Letterman, talking about Mike Tyson and his conviction on rape. I think the reason I want to play this now is because it speaks to the person who he is.
Speaking of fights, explain to me now what you were thinking about the Mike Tyson situation. Shortly after the verdict was announced that he had been convicted, he was guilty of the crime. You had a plan. Now, what were you thinking?
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
I was thinking that as soon as he gets out, he's going to fight at my casinos.
Yeah, but you can't buy your way through.
Of course, I'm only kidding when I say that, folks.
I wish I could say that.
Mike Tyson was greeted at his door at 1 o'clock in the morning by a woman.
Ooh.
He then...
Well, we don't need to go through the case again.
It's ridiculous. The woman was dancing at 8 o'clock, and this guy's in jail for 6 years. I don't understand it. I think it's wrong. I think
but due process of law prevailed.
I think he had one of the worst defense lawyers I have ever seen. This was the worst defense. I mean, their defense essentially was that anybody that goes out with Mike Tyson knows she's going to be raped, and therefore Mike Tyson, this is his defense, I think it was a horrible job they did in defending him.
Everything you say may be true, but still in all, you can't come in and say, okay, let's put the decision of the court aside. Here, I have a plan.
I never said that. I
think that was the impression people had of that.
What I said really is that Mike Tyson should fight. Mike Tyson should supply millions and millions and millions of dollars to rape victims, and I think that's a hell of a lot better than him sitting in a jailhouse for 6 years. Now, let him do some time, let him do some this, but this man could supply $30 million just from one fight. And that solves a lot more problems than keeping him locked up in solitary confinement doing nothing. I think that Mike Tyson had a horrible defense. I think
but again, what you're saying is that celebrities maybe should be treated differently than lay people.
And I say Mike should serve some time and everything else. But to keep a man, here's a woman that was dancing at his door at 1 o'clock in the morning dancing.
We don't need to get into this. We don't need to get into this.
But that's an important thing.
Hey, don't get me hot, okay?
Mike Tyson was convicted in the grape of 18-year-old beauty pageant contestant Desiree Washington. It just speaks to the person that he is, that he's always been. And again, MAGA dads, play that sound for your kids and then let them ask you questions about it and then see how you respond. And don't forget, during the E. Jean Carroll testimony, I wish I had thought about queuing this up. When you're stars, you get away with things like that. Fortunately or unfortunately is the famous quote. When you're a star, the Access Hollywood tape. When you're a star, they let you do it. You can just grab women by the pussy. When you're a star, they let you do it. When you're a star, they let you do it. MAGA dads. Your 17-year-old girl goes to a concert. Okay? A band that she really, really likes. Gets an opportunity to go backstage to meet one of the band members. And one of the band members, who's a star, assaults your daughter. Because he's a star. Did she just let him do it? What would your reaction be? We know how you respond. We know how you respond to that. You would say, well, he wouldn't make it to jail. That's not the question. The question is, the person that you support thinks that because you're a star, you can just do this shit. Yeah. What will you tell your daughters? What will you tell your daughters? I don't like having these conversations. I really don't. But I'm going to have them. Because people need to be held accountable for this shit. In our country, if you are a rich white man of privilege and of power, you get away with shit like this. Because not enough people in our country care. Plain and simple. Not enough people care. Which is why we say here, full chest, people on the left care more about your daughters than you do, MAGA. We do. We don't want them to be exposed to predators. We want to protect them. We want to make sure that they grow up as safe as they can be, even though it's all men until it's no men. You guys are the ones that get triggered by this shit. You're sitting here after all of this information continues to come out every single day. You hear from survivors. They tell their stories. Ghislaine Maxwell was sitting behind bars, a predator, convicted of crimes, including the abuse herself, not just the trafficking. Bad enough. Bad enough. Everything else. And you're going to take her word for it. And some of you are out there saying that she's a victim. And the survivors are saying, no, she's not. She abused me. She raped me, along with the president. They're naming names. So when those women release their own lists because they've talked about doing it, are you going to believe that? No, you won't. No, you won't. So your daughters are watching TikTok or they're watching one of their famous streamers, and these women these survivors who were girls at the time, could be their age. You know, your 16, 17-year-old daughter is hearing from women who were 16 and 17 years old when they got raped by these fucking predators. And they're going to drop Donald Trump's name in there. And your daughter's going to remember that you've got a Make America Great hat in your car. What are you going to say? What are you going to say? What are you going to tell her? What are you going to tell her? Are you going to be like a previous commenter earlier who said, I'll just lie? What are you going to say? How are you going to navigate through that? You haven't thought that far because you only think about yourself. You despise brown and black people so much. You despise women so much. You despise the poor so much. You despise all of it so much that you are willing to accept what you voted for, meaning that Donald Trump has bragged about grabbing women by the pussy. If you're a star, you can get away with it. Fortunately or unfortunately is the famous quote. If you're a star, you can get away with it. You don't believe the jury, even though unanimously they said that he forcibly and deliberately penetrated E. Jean Carroll's vagina with his fingers. You don't believe that. It's a rigged jury. You don't believe the statements from beauty pageant contestants when they were teenage girls, when he walked into the dressing rooms and he bragged about it. I'm inspecting them because I'm the owner. You don't believe that. You don't believe his own words when he said that I have sex in common with Ivanka. I was going to say golf, but I'd probably say sex. You don't believe that. You think he's just kidding. You don't believe the fact that he said I'm going to be dating a 10-year-old girl in 10 years. You don't believe any of that. You don't believe any of it. His own words. His own words. His own words. Instead, you'll see people in the comment section, Ashley Biden. Because you don't know the story. You don't know that her diary was stolen. You don't know that people went to jail for it. You don't know that she said, no, none of this ever happened. You don't care about any of that. You just got to try to find, you're not even in a position where you're even defending it anymore. You're now justifying it. You're past defending it. You defended it for years. Now you're justifying it. Now you're like, whatever. I don't care. I got cheap gas prices. Guess what? You don't. Yeah, I don't care that he raped young girls. I don't care. There's no more wars. I get no tax on tips, even though you're not getting that. Yeah, I don't care because the economy's booming and we're stomping out crime and we're deporting brown people. Yeah, all lies, Rowdy. Right? You keep telling yourself that. Price of eggs. Yeah. You just this is why, as hard as these conversations are, and it certainly does take its toll on me. It absolutely does. And I know that it takes tolls on lots of you. And I appreciate you tuning in. And I appreciate you trusting me enough to have these conversations. Because our legacy media will not talk about this. They won't. They will not talk about it. They will not connect all these dots. They're not going to bring up the Jonathan Swan interview from years ago when he was talking about, wait a minute, you wish a predator well? You wish her well? So all of it's a hoax. And you've got Caroline Levitt trying to spin everything, not answering questions. You got Byron Donald. You got Tim Burchett saying, that's not his signature. And you're going to hold on to that. Because initially, you were told by the cult leader, the orange ass clown, the twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing, fraudulent, convicted felon, name on a list, predator, that this didn't exist. You believed him when he said that. Oh, that's not real. Didn't happen. Now, we know that it is because we've known it's always been real. Now, it's the signature isn't his. He sued the Wall Street Journal because they reported this story for $10 billion. Rupert Murdoch says, bring it on. Because, bring it on. I stand by our journalism. Bring it. You notice there's been no more action? Notice that? No more action. Why? Why? All they are doing, MAGA, is continuing to lie. Pictures of Hunter with his niece on his laptop. Okay, Mike. You see how desperate, Mike, do you see, let's just pin that for a second. This is how desperate they are. This is how desperate they are. This is how desperate. famous picture of Joe Biden rubbing a young girl's shoulders, peaching in her ear. And they use that to try to say, look at him, he's a kid sniffer. That was his granddaughter at the funeral of his son. You don't want to look past that, though. You don't want the truth. You're just so desperate. I can't help you with that, Mikey. I can't. What I can do, though, is shame you and mock you. And I'll do that every day. Because this is who you are. This is who you are. You advocate for shit like this. I watch JW's lives when he has that background every single day, and Kristen's in there. And Kristen, if you're here, I love the work that you do, friend. You know that. It poses the question, it's all men until it's no men. And weak men like Mikey are so triggered by that. Well, I didn't do it. And yet there you are doing it. There you are making posts like this. You're probably the same kind of guy that gets offended by that shit, Mikey. That's why we say it. I know it's all men until it's no men. I get it. I'm part of it too. I'm a man. I'm part of the fucking system that benefits me. The misogyny, the patriarchy, all of it. All of it. And you guys are going to cheer it on. The same fucking people that for years called for the destruction of the deep state because of the global cabal, adrenochrome, Pizzagate, etc., etc., etc. And here we are. The opportunity for you to be consistent for once in your life to say, as hard as this is going to be, I want all the information. We are now one vote away. Oh, Dolphins in the harbor, Mikey? Not surprised. Thank you, Sam. Not surprised. One Republican vote away from having full transparency. Full transparency. One vote. Just one. Just one. And I'm not going to call them courageous. I'm not going to say, hey, they're finally stepping up. Why the fuck haven't they done it yet?
Because I don't want to.
Hi, V.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good. What's funny that you ended your comments with this, because my opponent has his office staff telling constituents in my district that he will not sign to release the files. Unsurprising, because it's his own, So if anyone's feeling froggy, I've called him out on Twitter. I've called him out on Facebook. I've called him out in a TikTok. So if anyone wants to go and like those, call his office and be like, why aren't you doing this? It would be a shame if you did that. I'm not telling what to do, but I am telling you that my potato of an opponent is not signing to release this.
Yes, and by the way, thank you for posting this, Brooke. He denied the affair with Stormy Daniels. He denied extorting Zelensky. He denied asking Georgia officials for 11,780 votes. He denied the inciting the insurrection. He denied stealing classified documents. He denied making a birthday card for Epstein. That's your boy, MAGA. Mm-hmm. That's your boy.
And why?
So we are. I'm in mocking mode. I'm full fucking petty.
Do it. Love it. I mean, they're a trope at this point, because if they cared a smidgen about victims and children, they would release it. This is the easiest decision they ever had to make. The easiest thing. It's literally there. They're just like, nope, my constituents want this there. Like, all they have to do. But they're choosing not to, because they're a fucking trope, because they agree with this and they participate in grape culture. And anyone who's crying about it right now is crying because they can't deal with their fifi, so they're going to spew it outward because they've participated in grape culture.
Or fantasize about it.
Or fantasized about it. And it's weird. It's weird. Like, it was weird when I was on a panel and a dude straight up said that he had to be in the room witnessing what happened to Katie Johnson to believe that's what happened. That is so weird. That is weird. If you have to be there to witness it, I have so many questions, and none of them are going to make you feel good. You all will believe that God exists with no proof, but won't believe it when a woman, multiple women, come out.
Yep. I mean, and to be honest, I think it goes a little bit deeper than that, Victoria. They believed Ghislaine Maxwell when they snipped one portion of her testimony saying that she never saw Donald Trump do anything bad with young girls. And that's what they ran to. They were excited. So here's the proof. And then in the same interview, she said the same thing about Bill Clinton. I never saw him do anything bad with girls either. And then, so that defeats their entire narrative. So if you're going to believe her on the Trump side, then you got to believe her on the Clinton side. And I am not defending Bill Clinton in any way. I think he's a trash human being, but I don't know if there's any allegations against him. I don't know if anybody's named names against him, or we got people that have named names against Donald Trump abusing her. Stacey Williams is one that comes to mind. Maria Farmer.
Allegation they have against Bill Clinton is he had. And again,
we're not defending him. Right, we're not defending him.
Not defending him. Not defending him. He had consensual relations with a grown woman. Was it a predatory behavior? Yes, because he was her boss and it was inappropriate. That said, I know Republicans don't understand consent, so you're going to go after him for the adultery, yet voted for someone who's a massive and well-known adulterer.
There is a statement, let's see. This just came out this morning. Just out. No inflation. Too late, must lower the rate. Big, right now. Powell's a total disaster who doesn't have a clue. President DJT. The wholesale prices are down by 0.01%. So the inflation report, I think, comes out tomorrow. So we'll find more about that. Anyway, I'm glad you said that, because this is why I'm in petty mode. Because if you want to use, and again, I think Bill Clinton is a trash human being. He cheated on his wife when he was the governor of Arkansas. He cheated on his wife when he was president. He's cheated on his wife numerous times. I think he's a trash human being. No doubt about it. Not defending him. If he's connected to this, throw his fucking ass under the fucking jail. I want to see him dragged before Congress and answer fucking questions. Let's go. You see how easy that is, MAGA? Do you see how easy that is? There's 1,600 people in here, and I can guarantee you, those who are not mouth breathers, if I ask the question, put a 1 in the chat if you want everyone connected to this held accountable. Go ahead. So 1 in the chat if you want everybody connected to this to be held accountable. See? You see? You see how easy that is? That's it. 1. The problem is, what did Democrats get rid of?
Then I did it backwards, motherfuckers.
Democrats got rid of Al Franken over an inappropriate practical joke. Totally agree. Right? Yep. Shouldn't have done it. It was inappropriate. But they said, that's it. We don't want to be close to it. Don't give a fuck who it is. You guys can't do it. Instead, you'll lie to your daughters. We had somebody, I don't know if you were here this morning, Victoria, early. I asked the question, and he said he would lie. He said he would lie to his daughter.
But here's the problem. He's not a good liar. I hope he's still here. You're not a good liar. Your daughter's going to figure it out. She's going to figure out that you're a misogynistic asshole. Whether she figures it out today or figures it out 10 years from now, because Steve and I have talked about it offline. You know, your daughter's not stupid. Mm-hmm. We know when our fathers are assholes. We know when our fathers are misogynist and playing into the patriarchy. We're not stupid. And that's going to affect your relationship. So why not own it and own that you fucked up and do something about it?
And again, I mentioned this before, and I used the concert as an analogy. Do you want your daughter to trust you? Do you want your daughter to be able to come to you under the worst conditions? Because if you have this attitude, she's not. What if your son or your daughter decides to come out? Okay. What if they've been struggling with their sexuality and they want to come out? Do you think they will? Of course they won't. Of course they won't. Because you're a threat to them. You're a threat. They see what you watch on TV. Kids are sponges. They see what you want. They see what you watch. They see what you read. They know what your algorithms are. They know exactly who you are and what you do. And you wonder potentially why your relationship with your daughter is fractured, or your sister, or your nieces, whatever that might be. They know.
Eric, did you lose Jesus again?
They
Eric,
know.
are you okay?
They
Did
get
you
it.
find him? I mean, yeah, and that's the thing, Steve, is like, even if she doesn't realize right away, the moment she starts deconstructing in any form, she's going to deconstruct her relationship with you. And when she starts deconstructing, she's going to go all the way back to childhood and recognize every time you did misogynistic things, did patriarchal things, participated in grape culture, were silent with her. Because if you're the type of dude, man, husband, father who votes for this kind of thing, what happens is likely in your personal life, there are signs that that's the type of man you are. You will not protect us when a man is harassing us. You won't protect us when, we're out in public and we're getting harassed or we come to you. So it's your own fault. And if any of that makes you feel in your like fifis, good. Question how you participate and act around your daughters, your sisters, your mothers, every bit of it, because we fucking know. I said it on a live the other day. I said being a woman is inherently violent. And I stand by that statement. Because being a woman, there is no place in our spaces that we can go that violence won't happen. And that's a sad statement. Does that mean that we are not just going to hang out with dudes? I have every reason not to trust men. Every reason under the sun. And I'm still friends with people because I know that there are men out there who are actively deconstructing. Yeah.
It's interesting. I just saw a tweet come out from Elon. It says Elon Musk announced that Tesla will start manufacturing Transformers, and it went ... The story continued. I'm thinking they're going to start making Optimus Prime. That's fucking sweet. I'll be stoked for that.
Oh my God, I love that song.
But again, I'm not going to even say it's nuanced. It's a complex conversation because, to your point, our kids know. Like our kids know, and I've always been the believer is that we make mistakes as parents. That's who we are. We make mistakes. We fuck up all the time. You just do your best. But this, I've been in conversations with many MAGA. Victoria knows this. I mean, I spend some time on the weekends. I go in there and, first of all, I always appreciate you guys. I'll go in there. Sometimes it's myself and RJ, or sometimes it's just me. There'll be like 45 people in the live. I'll join. Then 5 minutes later, there's like 700 people in there. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. But they being the MAGA dads and just MAGA in general, they're not used to being called out. They're just not used to it, especially by women. Especially by silver-haired dudes who paint their nails. They don't know how to process it. They don't know what to do with this information. So their reactions now are just more vile than ever. The amount of death threats that I get has increased exponentially. It's over the top. I get 20 a week.
Well, the amount of guys who slide into my DMs to tell me how ugly I am, to tell me how I'm a single cat lady. I mean, Mr. Victoria might be surprised. Every time I get told I'm divorced, I'm like, somebody go tell my husband. Oops. He's like, it was that easy? Yep.
I don't know, like we don't do this in this space necessarily because, as you guys know, we don't really debate much anymore. I mean, I'm not afraid to talk to anybody, but what's the point, right? So this conversation is for the people who sort of saunter by, who might be like, what the fuck is this lib talking about? And maybe they see the background. They're like, what's he talking about? And then your daughter, your blue-eyed, your sweet baby girl that you have claimed prolifically, loud and proud, that you would do anything for. You guys that would say that you would throw yourself in front of a bus for your kid, that you'd give your last drop of blood, that you'd stand between her and a bear or harm. All you had to do was not vote for a predator, and you couldn't do that. All you had to do was to throw your red hat in the trash can, because of all the things I listed, that's the most practical thing to do. It's very likely your daughter's not going to hit by a bus.
A comment by a woman. Amanda, I'm not equating the death threats to my getting ugly comments. I've gotten those threats as well too. I've gotten death threats on this app as well. So I don't know why you use that as I was equating it, but it's weird.
Who's paying me to do this, Tile Man? Just generous donors. If anybody would like to contribute to the cause, I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Tile Man, who's paying you to be here? That's what I want to know. You're an RNC paid troll, aren't you, Tile Man? Probably are. But this is, again, this is now where we're at.
Hold on. I got to point something out here, Steve. Here is internalized misogyny. Here is internalized misogyny. Amanda, I'm going to use you as a example of this. You assumed that I didn't get those same level of threats and are making the assumption that Steve, somehow I need to... Steve, do you need me to be in my, to worry about you getting threats? Did you ask me to do that? Did I miss something here?
Nope.
Were you offended that I was talking about similar, threats that I get? Because you've been in the lives when I've been threatened, right? You've been in, I think you were in one of my lives when I got, ooh, I like that one.
I was, yeah. So, nope, not offended at all, Victoria.
Yeah, so Amanda, I don't think you're actually listening, because do you need me to say that I've gotten unaliving threats on this app to equate? What's going on here? I'm confused, because that's internalized misogyny. The fact that I need to
totally
up or equate or talk about it. What? And I need to coddle. I'll happily coddle Steve if he really wants me to coddle him. But I'm about consent here. He doesn't need my. You're welcome. But this is the problem. Is I'm talking about my lived experience. You're talking about your lived experience. Neither one of us is offended.
Yeah.
And exactly. Guys, I'm not mad at Amanda, but this is the problem. Is that she wants me to center facts in the conversation when I'm talking about how being a woman is inherently violent. I'm the woman on the panel. What?
Yep. And that brings up a very good point, because we could have the same conversation. We could put MAGA moms up there. We could very easily do that, because we know that there are many of you. And I'm not saying you're a MAGA mom, Amanda, but take the cue, okay? And we've given her enough oxygen, so we're going to move on from her now.
Yeah, I'm going to move on. I'm not mad at her. I'm just using it as an example.
I know. Thank you. By the way, thank you guys for paying me. I appreciate you very, very much. You're very, very kind. Let me see here. Let me go through the exercise of thanking some really kind and generous people. Ruby, thank you very, very much. You said because because they worry about who's paying you. Thank you, Ruby D. I appreciate you very much. Tracy, thank you very, very much. No fear. Thank you very, very much. Let me go over to this one. Jordan, thank you for your 50. That's really kind of you. Thank you for keeping up the good fight, brother. I appreciate you. Aaron, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate you as well. Dana, as always. MAGA dads don't talk to their kids. They talk at them. Hearts in the chat for Aaron. MAGA dads don't talk to their kids. They talk at them. It's a great point.
Yeah, no, they definitely talk at them, because there is a difference between... Are you paid, though? No, we just get a lot of comments. Someone said we were paid by the DNC. If the DNC wants to get a PR like Enema at this point, please, for the love of God, reach out to this man. Because
there you go.
They are not doing it well.
There you go. And go ahead. And on that point, because I'm going to make a good segue here. Yes.
We're going to segue. Democratic parties don't endorse candidates, and quite often based on bylaws. This is a good moment to point this out, that if you see Democrats, if you're asking Democrats why someone hasn't been endorsed, there's a reason we have to get through the primaries. I saw this video come across, and I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was like, they can't endorse until after primaries. And quite often they don't endorse anyways. So
Lisa stepped in. So Lisa, thanks for $20 because I haven't got she's concerned that I haven't gotten the Soros check yet. So thank you for that, Lisa. I really appreciate you. You're very kind. So I'm gonna pat myself on the back for a second because last week I told you guys, remember, as we know that the government shutdown is coming up at the end of this month, right? September 30th. We went through the exercise about appropriations bills. And I told you, I said, my recommendation, if I was advising the Democratic Party and if they actually did pay me, I would be saying, let's get out ahead of this now. Let's hang this anchor around the necks of the Republicans. That Donald Trump wants to shut down the government. MAGA Republicans want to shut down the government. MAGA Republicans want to deny benefits to people. MAGA Republicans want to shut down national parks and museums. And have you seen anything with the Democrats? Fuck no. So what does Mike Johnson do? He does this.
Republicans continue to work through regular order to fund the government for FY26, for the next fiscal year. We're working closely with the White House and the Senate to ensure we meet our deadlines, and Chairman Cole, Tom Cole of the Appropriators, continues to diligently work towards getting all 12 bills out of committee, and they're almost done with that. And as we get closer to the funding deadline, though, we recognize the shutdown chatter from the left is growing louder. Some of these people seem to enjoy this. It seems Democrats may take the path of maximum resistance and try to shut the government down. It's not surprising because they're struggling because they don't really have a message or a leader or their party registration is falling. Their approval ratings are in the low 20s and they're about to elect a Marxist to be the mayor of New York City. They are desperately searching for a solution, and some in the party apparently think a government shutdown would be some sort of political advantage to them. It'd be what we all know is dangerous and harmful to millions of Americans, and that is not the answer. So I'm going to say this again, and I'm saying it in good faith. I've shared this with the Democrat leader in the House and other colleagues. If Democrats are willing to work with us, we have our sleeves rolled up and we want to do this in good faith. We just have to think responsibly how to spend less money than we did last year. And if they're willing to do that, and it's incumbent upon all of us to do it with the high national debt, we're open to that. But the ultimate question of whether there's going to be a government shutdown at the end of the month.
I fucking told you so. I fucking told you so. What an opportunity that was missed. Another miss by status quo Democrats of the DNC. They should have been out during the break when they had a month. They should have been out there saying, when the government shuts down, it will be because of Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans. When the government shuts down and payments for services are delayed, it's because of MAGA Republicans. When we ask critical and essential workers like the FAA and the TSA and active duty, I think active duty gets paid, but a lot of essential employees like the TSA, Homeland Security, when they don't get paid because they can't, that's on MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump. Why the fuck did the Democrats miss that opportunity again? Again, I told you, I predicted this last week. I told you it was going to happen, and here we are.
I mean, and can we point out, like, one of the things, great job, Steve, I'm going to send you some virtual pats on the back. I want to make sure that we acknowledge the fact that you said these statements. And I agree. Like, you said it. Like, none of us, no Democrat is, like, no progressive, I shouldn't say Democrat, is surprised that they didn't come out and say anything. And I also want to make a statement here. If you're looking for a leader of the party, the leader of the party tends to be whoever is holding the presidential seat. Like, when it comes to the Democrats, it's normally like, what is it, like the House, like there's the Speaker of the House normally does that. I don't know how we do it when it's an off season. But all I can think is when they say leader, I'm like, we're a party. We don't.
Tyler Man too. No, it's not angry. We're just disgusted by people like you. It's not anger. Yeah. It's disgust. If I was most people, when they're angry, they might run from the problem, but we're just disgusted by people like you. So, Victoria, here's a question. Who's the leader of the Democratic Party right now?
I know who I want it to be, but there isn't really
chat. One. Yeah, there isn't. So chat. So here, I've asked this question before. Who's the leader of the Democrats right now? You can answer that question because you got the smartest chat on TikTok. But again, I knew this was going to happen. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. I expected it to happen, and this is why I'm not a fan of Hakeem Jeffries. It's the same thing. I'm just not a fan. He's just part of the same machine. And what are we going to get from Chuck Schumer? Another strongly worded letter? Is that what's going to happen? And they're going to cave. Is Gavin the leader of the party? Maybe. I don't know. Just the fact that we're like, So many people are like, oh, okay, no leader. Maybe Gavin. Yeah, maybe. Maybe James Tellerico. Maybe. Maybe Bernie. Maybe. Maybe AOC. Maybe. I don't know. But the good side of that, we're not in a fucking cult. Okay?
That part.
Yeah.
That part.
Anyway. Would you like to plug, Victoria?
Yeah, guys, I'm Victoria Broderick. I'm running for Congress in Tennessee's District 4. I'm a working class mom. I work full time. I have 2 tiny humans, 4 fur babies, and I foster with a local humane society. I'm running for office for change. I ran in 2024 because my opponent was going to run unopposed. And the goal of running for office is to, bring change to our democracy and have representation that actually represents us. So if any of that sounds good, go to the link in my, bio, do the things, go like all the videos. I'm just here, trying to bring change. And we're gonna keep bringing change, guys. There is hope. We're watching it across the country.
I agree. I appreciate you as always, my friend. I'll talk to you later.
Bye. Have a vice.
Bye. Once again, here's an opportunity lost. So what's going to end up happening? There's going to be some negotiations. Democrats will probably cave again. I'm at the point, and I'll say this, and I've said this before, there's impact. We went through the list yesterday, and for those of you who weren't here, let me just remind you. Let me see here. It's the appropriations component that has to get passed. 12 appropriations bills. Mike Johnson's never been in the past, was never in favor of continuing resolutions. We're probably there now, though. He's going to have to do his fucking thing, and he's going to have to, somebody in the Democratic Party is going to have to come out with a bold statement. I'm just so done. These are the areas that would potentially be impacted. Federal agencies close or scale back. Agencies without funding must stop non-essential operations. Each department prepares a shutdown plan deciding which workers and programs continue. Essential workers, again, expected employees, they keep working without pay until funding resumes. TSA officers, Border Patrol, CBP, air traffic controllers, active duty military, non-essential or furloughed are placed on unpaid leave. Many federal researchers, clerical staff, regulatory workers, all affected federal employees eventually receive back pay. It is required by law, but contractors don't. Impact on services. Social Security and Medicare benefits continue since they are mandatory spending. Military and national security, active duty military and key intelligence staff work without pay until appropriations are restored. Air travel. Flights continue, but TSA and FAA workers may face delays and strain. National park and museums usually close or operate with limited staffing. Food and drug safety. The FDA may halt routine inspections. Research. NIH, National Institute for Health, and other federal labs pause most grant programs and experiments. Housing and assistance programs. New applications for loans, housing vouchers, or small business loans may be frozen. Federal courts will operate for a limited time on reserve funds and then reduce their activity. And then Congress, of course, remains open since legislative branch appropriations usually pass and they get paid. Would you support a shutdown, friends? Knowing that. Knowing there's going to be impact. One in the chat if you say shut the fucker down. Hashtag shut it down. That's what I want. Because I'm thinking about harm reduction. Let's talk about harm reduction. Yes, there are people who won't get paid, federal workers who won't get paid. They'll get their back pay. I get it. I'm sensitive to it. But the harm that's being done by the current administration to other groups, got to balance it. Hashtag shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. Let the Republicans blame the Democrats because they're going to do it anyway. I don't care. I don't care. There is no testicular fortitude currently in Democratic leadership in D.C. anyway. So just do the easy thing and just shut it down. I'm serious. Like if the DNC is watching and you want to hire me, I'll fix your fucking shit. I will call you all out. I will fire you. I will fire you. I will fire you. I will fire you. And I say, you guys ready to get your knuckles dirty and bloody? Because this is a fucking fight. I'm so done with these missed opportunities. We've got the president of the United States who is implicated in serious crimes against children. And we get what? We get what? I'm glad they brought the survivors to testify. I'm glad. Why are they not running ads every single day? They're sitting on tens of millions of dollars to advertise. Why are they not running ads on every single day? Why do you wait till election season? Why are you not doing it now? Why aren't you out there? You guys know I have a little crush on Mallory McMorrow, who's running for the Senate in Michigan. Actually, it's beyond a little crush. Let's be honest. She ran an ad over the weekend during the Red Zone, which normally you don't get a lot of ads. Red Zone is which actually it used to be on, I think it used to be on DirecTV or Dish. It was basically, if you're watching an NFL game, it would cut to any team that gets within the 20-yard line as they are approaching in the goal line to score. She ran this ad. It was great. It was great. It was great. Captive audience. Captive audience. Why are they not out there running ads right now? The government shutdown is the Trump shutdown. MAGA Republicans want to shut down the government. Where's the ad? Why not? Seriously, all over social, all over everything. Billboards, streamers behind airplanes, flags on the field, everywhere. Everywhere. Use your money. Use it. Use the money from the billionaire donors that exist on the right, on the left as well. Use it. Shut down the fucking government. Shut it down. Shut it down. And let them wear the collar. Because most Americans, the overwhelming majority of Americans, don't engage in politics. They just don't. They just don't engage in politics. So get out there with the message, because you know full well Mike Johnson, James Comer, Republican leadership in the House and the Senate are going to be running around to their various stations. They're going to go to Fox. They're going to go to Newsmax. They're going to sit with podcasters. And they're going to say, the Democrats want to shut down the government. And to be honest, from an objective perspective, Republicans do need Democratic votes. But it's they have the majority, right? They do need Democratic votes for it to pass. They can't work around it. They're going to need votes. They may not even, to be honest, they may not even get all the votes that they need in the House at this point. They may not. And they got to cross the 60 threshold in the Senate for it to pass anyway, which means Chuck Schumer is going to have to write another strongly worded letter. Shut it fucking down. Shut it down. Okay. Let me just check in here. Shit just makes me angry. Just because I knew it was going to happen. Like, it's just, I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. I just saw it coming, thinking, they're going to miss this opportunity. Here we go again. They're going to miss it again. Simple. Kipper's probably found a squirrel outside. I don't know. Let me see here. Anyone taking my pins? I heard about that. I know, buddy. I know. Okay. I want to play. This is, you guys know who Ann Coulter is? I think everybody knows who Ann Coulter is. Right-wing, I don't even know what to call her. Nikki Glaser has called her some interesting things. I think this tells the whole story, though, when you're talking about MAGA, because there's just things that they will just accept, right? There's things that they're just going to accept. This is an example because, like I said at the end, it's all about their racism. And this is a perfect example of it.
Most corrupt presidents in U.S. history with the money they are raking in with the NFTs and the meme coin. I mean, it is so blatant. It's right in front of our eyes. And the funny thing about I don't care as long as we get a wall and mass deportations. If I have not made that clear, I don't care about anything but saving the country.
Right? Here's again.
This is the most corrupt presidents in U.S. history with the money they are raking in with the NFTs and the meme coin. I mean, it is so blatant. It's right in front of our eyes. And the funny thing about I don't care as long as we get a wall and mass deportations. If I have not made that clear, I don't care about anything but saving the country.
Ann Coulter, very influential voice on the right, has been for a very long time, goes on a podcast. You heard it. Look, they are the most corrupt administration in history. And I don't think anybody disagrees with that. They are the most corrupt administration in history. but I don't care. As long as I get a wall, as long as we can deport brown people and keep our country safe. I don't care. They're the most corrupt administration in history, but I don't care. So that's how MAGA feels in general. I don't care that he's a predator. Got to keep the brown people out. I don't care if he assaults women and degrades them. Got to make sure we don't have any brown people taking advantage of Medicaid, Medicare. I don't care that he's fantasized about or says that he has sex in common with his daughter because, damn, we got to build that fucking wall. Meanwhile, I'm hating in the comments. I don't know who I'm hating. Kipper, thank you. We are now at this spot in our history, right? We are here. We are to blame. We the collective our country is to blame. I've said this before, and you guys may agree or disagree, but we deserve this, to be honest. We deserve to have this happen to us. We voted for him the first time. Now, if I were, again, I'm objective. I could look back at this from a political science perspective, and I can understand why he won the first election, why he won the first time. I get it. I understand. A lot of people disenfranchise voters for whatever reason. You know, first of all, the mediocre white man claiming victimhood is bullshit, but I can understand it. I can understand it. Defamation, I have no proof, soccer star. Soccer star, you don't know what defamation is, my guy. Anyway, I can understand why people voted for him the first time. I get that. It's similar to why people voted for Bernie. You can, although they're not the same voters, but it's a similar reason. They looked at Bernie as an outsider, which he is, and they looked at Trump as an outsider, which he was. You can justify that. After that, though, nope. But now they've just accepted the fact, like Ann Coulter said, I don't give a shit. I know they're corrupt. I don't care. I know he's a rapist. Don't care. I know he's a con man. I don't care. I know he's a liar. Don't care. I know he's a warmongering fool. Don't care. Build the wall. Got to keep the brown people away. More lies. Hold on a second. Come here. Come here. Okay. Anyway, I don't know. How do we measure this going forward? That's the question that I'm trying to figure out now. Like, how do we? What is the reconciliation? Right, because it is being. Well, I want to change the background real quick because I think I just kind of want to move into this. It is the end. The question is, what do we do with it? Yeah, we talked about Poland earlier, Jen. Thank you for that. About Poland shooting down Russian drones, which in theory is an attack on a NATO country, which would then trigger Article 5. So, again, the question is, what do we do about this? So, my fear, my concern is that most Americans won't do shit. You'll just go on about your life. And you'll just accept the changes to our democracy. You'll just accept the changes to, systems of government. You'll just accept changes to laws, and you won't do anything. I'm really nervous about that. I'm really nervous. We work really hard in this space, okay, about trying to inform, to try to encourage and motivate and advise on the importance of our participation in democracy, because apathy is where democracies go to die, okay? And my concern, because the majority of people, everyday Americans walking around have no idea what's happening. They just become automatons and they just sort of go with the flow. And I'm nervous about that. I am really nervous about that. So I believe that we are seeing the end of MAGA happening right in front of us. Right in front of us. It's happening in real time every single day. They can't run from this shit. They can't. So I know that Trump will never be found legally. I say never, but he's going to need a pardon because they will go after him. When Democrats retake the House, they will go after him, and I want them to. And if they don't, then my expectation is you all need to be on the phone, in the ear, knocking on doors, going to D.C., going to your local offices, because they need to go after all these people. They need to go after Tom Homan. They need to go after Attorney General Bondi, all of them. Bring them all in, drag them all in every single day. I don't give a flying fuck if legislation doesn't get passed. I don't care. This is revenge. This is what they have done. My question is, will America be brave enough to support it? Or will entitled leftists pull back in their corners and complain that they're not getting what they want? My call for unification is not party to party. It's within the party. MAGA elected a 34-time convicted felon, a serial predator, twice. And people on the left can't get over the fact that Gavin Newsom's not perfect? I mean, this is what has to happen. You have no choice. I don't like Ken Martin. Not a fan. Not progressive enough. Let's see how we do with the elections. I might change my mind. I'm not a fan. I'm tired. I'm not a fan because of what I just discussed with you guys about not messaging regarding the government shutdown. Why are they not doing it? Why? Why are we not fighting every single day? Why are we not taking cues from Gavin Newsom? His press team has figured it out because they are triggering Trump and MAGA at every turn. Why are they not fighting? The reason, two things here. As a whole, the nation believes in liberal policies. They believe in women's rights to choose. They believe in education reform. They believe in overturning Citizens United. Those are not even progressive ideals anymore. They're just part of what the overall majority of our country believes. They believe in responsible firearm legislation, right? Collectively, that's what the majority of the country supports. The reason the Democrats don't score so high on favorability, and by the way, that gap is narrowed just a couple points between Republicans and Democrats. They're not any more popular. But the reason that there's negative opinions of the Democrats is because there's no fight. I have to change this background because I got the AI warning. Because there's no fight. That's why. And the party fight for them. And when you start to see that, when you start to see action, when you start to see resistance, then you'll start to see change. And I don't know why it's so difficult for people on the left to demand it as well. If you stand for something, then stand for it and not accept it. Just why the fuck are we've been talking a lot recently. I'll use this as an example. Again, there's a channel in our Discord. It's called Blueprint of a Better Man. We're trying to figure out what are qualities that people want to see in men. The simple things like, honesty, integrity, accountability, vulnerability, things like that, right? We should want the same thing from our system, right? People to be honest, people to have integrity, people to be accountable, people to be vulnerable, people to be willing to admit mistakes and then fix it again. So we've fallen into this fucking trap, right? That we accept table scraps for building a better man. Opening a door for someone, that's not a better man. That's just bare minimums. They fold your they bring you a glass of water when you're thirsty. I'm sorry. Ladies, non-binary, people in the LGBTQI community, is that enough? Is that enough? Is that how far we have fallen, that the bare minimum is now considered good? I'm afraid that's probably true. Similarly in our politics. Why the fuck do we settle for the bare minimum? Seriously. Why do we accept expansions to the ACA? Fuck that. I want somebody to go out there and say, I'm running on universal health care. MAGA wants to govern using executive orders? Then I want my president to say, I'm signing an executive order today that the United States of America has universal health care. And let's see what the reaction looks like. Let's see what people do. I'm signing an executive order today. I'm banning all firearms in America. Seriously. If that's what this is, my point is, this is how far we've come, right? That people will just continue to walk around in a haze, looking for something, looking to be told what to think and do. It's different on the left. That's not the case. The left is much stronger in their convictions on things, but those convictions and the support for causes don't turn into votes enough. They just don't. They just don't. I'm tired of apathy. Do me a solid. I appreciate guys showing up every single day, But please, let me go back to the list again. If you live in any one of these districts, where is it? If you live in Arizona 7th, you have a special election coming up on September 23rd. Anybody in here in Arizona 7th district? Nice, real. Raul, I don't know how to pronounce it, Grijalva, Democrat, passed away in March. Special election to replace his seat. September 23rd comes up in 2 weeks. What are you going to do? Are you going to sit this one out? Too inconvenient? Texas 18th, vacant since the death of Sylvester Turner on March 5th. Democrat had held seat. Special election slated for November 4th, 2025. Coming up. I don't think the new maps that the state legislature has drawn has impacted this yet because they needed time to get through the system. They've got to reorganize the districts. So that's a special election seat. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Tennessee 7th. Should have asked Victoria about this. Tennessee 7th. Vacant due to the resignation of Rep. Mark Green. He resigned in July. Special election scheduled for December. What are you going to do? Because this is now on us. The collective us. The we the people us. I believe that government serves a purpose. It does. I think that there are good people in government who want to be public servants. I really believe that. I really do. I've seen it. We've seen people. Our politics has become a celebrity, so I get that. But I believe that government serves a purpose. And I believe that the government's role is the we the people. Provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. I believe in it. But it only works with people with integrity. It only works if people participate. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Have you not seen what apathy does? Have you not seen what ignoring and settling does? The status quo Democratic machine would have never, ever, ever given enough support for Kamala Harris. We saw it happen. We witnessed it in real time. We witnessed it. We can fix this shit, friends, but it's got to be on you. It can't just be, my vote doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter. People in your family, here's a statement for you, people that are on the left, that you're in your heart, in your ideology, not an ideologue, but in your ideology, that you support the things that we talk about, healthcare, education reform, all those kinds of things. You could have people in your family that have served their country, that fought and died in many cases for the rights that we hold so dear. And you don't go and vote? Really? Really? If they came back, right, and you had a chance to talk to your grandfather who was a veteran of World War II, or your uncle who was a Korean War vet, whatever that might be, and they said, so how's the voting been going? Yeah, I don't vote. The candidates on the left are not perfect enough for me. They'd be like, what? What? I got my shoulder blown off on the beaches of Normandy, and you're complaining about perfection? There are people that we speak to in this space, and I've spoken to, who don't vote at all. They just don't vote. I believe in democracy. I will let the chips fall where they may. I want everybody to have access to voting. I wish we could. We struggle, you guys, to get 65% of the people to the polls during a general election. We struggle with that. We struggle with it. It's even worse than midterms. It's gotten better lately. When I say it, this is what we deserved. This is what we deserved. We got what we deserved. And the right knew it. The right expected apathy. The right expected the wings of the Democratic Party to be apathetic and entitled and not show up to vote. And folks, you got to own that. People on the left have got to own it. You have to own that. That is on you. Be consistent with what you stand for. Being able to hold elected officials in power accountable. Hold yourself accountable. Make sure that you are part of the change, right? We have to do this ourselves. Our system is built for that. It's on all of us, Greg. It is on all of us. It's on all of us because we are responsible for this happening. We know, MAGA. Think about it, though. Guys, hold on. What's the number? 80 million? Say 80 million people voted for Trump. 78 million, whatever the number is. 78 million people decided that no matter what he did, they're going to vote for him. Rapist, felon, fraudster, etc., etc., etc. They got in line and they voted for him. And Democrats just decided to sit it out because they didn't like Kamala's laugh, or they couldn't take her seriously enough, or she wasn't progressive enough. We're to blame for this. We're to blame. And our country deserved this to have happen. Seriously. Yeah, we can talk about conspiracies about Elon. We can talk about all that shit. Again, sure, that's a conversation we can have. But in general, a lot of registrations just didn't turn into votes. What are you going to do? If you live in Arizona 7th, if you live in Texas 18th, if you live in Tennessee 7th, you've got special elections that are coming. The count right now, if everything stayed status quo, would be 220 Republican, 215 Democrat. Okay? So if we use the math, right, we need 218 signatures on that discharge petition to have all of the Epstein files released. All of it. Not the cherry-picked bullshit that the House Oversight Committee is releasing to us. Okay? So we have enough. If that seat holds, we have enough. Because under the conditions, we only need 2. Actually, 2. So here we are. Actually, it's down to 1. Because if we get that seat, we've got 200. There's 213 now with this new with the victory last night. 4 Republicans have already signed the discharge petition. Thomas Massey, Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, MTG. Those 4 have signed it, which puts us at 219. 217 with 1 more signature to go. Down to 1. 1 name. 1 Republican. 1. Guardians of Predators. Should be the easiest vote you had to make. In case you don't know, there was a special election last night, and James Walkinshaw, Democrat, won the open seat that Jerry Connolly, who just passed away, Kamala Harris won this district in 2024 by 30 points. He won it last night by 50. We need 1. 1 Republican. Karen, 1. Because with that vote, the 4 signatures have been signed by Republicans. That brings us to 217. We need 1 Republican. 1 of the 216 that are left. 1 Republican. By when? It's open as long as this Congress is in session. Why is it so hard for people on the right to just be sincere? To just realize what it is that we're talking about here. Get on the phone with your elected officials and demand it. Tell them that you are a constituent of yours. Why? Ask them the question, why are you not signing full transparency? I'll even write a script for you if you want. They're going to say, the House Oversight's doing this. The House Oversight's not doing enough. We appreciate, you know what? Throw them a bone. We appreciate what the House Oversight Committee is doing, but the discharge petition is everything. Because there's things in that the House Oversight Committee is not doing. This is bipartisan. I would like your support. Tell me why you're not voting for it. Call them. 5 Calls has scripts. You're right. Thanks for that, Wonder Woman. 5 Calls has scripts. 5 Calls app. Do it. What's stopping you? I don't know if you have any more guests in the box. I mentioned yesterday that I have to end a little bit early today. Let me bring up Drew. I saw that he requested.
Hey,
can we bang this out, guys? Hey, buddy. How are you?
Hey, I wanted to bring, so, we have the smartest chat and TikTok. But I wanted to bring your attention. Are you aware of South Carolina Senate Bill 323?
I am not.
There's going to a vote on the 1st, and I want to read a little bit to you from, it's from the ACLU that's kind of summing it up rather than reading the actual bill. But as you know, we already have one of the most extreme AB bans in the world. It was passed back in 2023. Bans almost everything past 6 weeks. All right. This bill is going to push that further. Okay. It's going to delete
the Unborn Child Protection Act, that one?
That's the one. It'll delete the fetal heartbeat provision from the existing law. It'll basically move us from a 6-week ban to a total ban. It would delete exceptions allowing AB at later stages for victims of grape. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the word, the incest. That word.
You can.
Okay.
Yep.
And incest. It's also will allow for cases of fatal fetal anomaly. Okay, it would also make abortion, a felony equivalent to the unaliving of a person born alive. It would allow imprisonment of up to 30 years for a person having an AB or aiding in an AB. It would prohibit transporting a minor out of state to obtain an AB. It would open the door to restrictions on birth control by amending the definition of a legal contraceptive to include anything that prevents ovulation or implantation of a fertilized ovum. It would open the door to restrictions on in vitro fertilization by defining human embryo as a fertilized egg or zygote. It would make it unlawful to possess any DRUG or substance that can be used for AB. It would make providing information about AB unlawful. Now that one's crazy. Just providing information about AB unlawful, including via a website or a phone call. So you can't even provide information about the options for AB. And the last one they have on this list, and I'm sure there's more in the bill that I've got to go back and review, but it will require, now listen to this, it will require students in public school sex education classes to watch an anti-AB propaganda video called Meet Baby Olivia, produced by the anti-AB group Live Action. This goes up for a vote. I don't know if they're doing discussion or what. I have to read back up on where we're at with this. On the 1st of October. Now, I'm in South Carolina. This is obviously an extremely red state, and I don't see any way this isn't going to pass. I'll make my calls. I'll tread out as much as I have in my limited thing. I know that there's folks in the chat from South Carolina and folks who are much better at activism and getting the word out than I am and have a bigger platform, but it's unreal. It's unreal that this is where we're at in 2025.
And isn't Nancy Mace running for governor?
Oh, God, don't even get me started on her. I'm hoping that and my hopes are always dashed around here because we keep sinking to lower lows. I mean, I know that she hasn't had great success in a lot of her so-called public events. But I wouldn't put anything past the state. I mean, McMaster's basically, foghorn leghorn. He's just a big old joke. And, we, of course, used to have Nikki Haley at one point. I mean, we don't have a great track record there. I mean, it's a shame because the state has so much potential. We really have got a lot of, it's become a haven for a lot of good industries, but our education is still miserable. I mean, I'm very lucky. My son happens to be in a school that I think is pretty solid. But overall, it's just a mess. And like I said, we've got so much potential. We've got ports, we've got all this kind of stuff, but we keep voting against our own interest, and it's ridiculous.
Drew, thanks for bringing it to our attention. We'll probably talk a bit more about that. Senate Bill 323, South Carolina. One thing I
wanted to just let you know too. I wanted to let you know. I thought you'd find this interesting because when I was looking it up, I had the wrong number. I thought it was just 23. And I looked up House bill instead of Senate bill. So this would happen completely by accident that I discovered this. So HB 23 is one that's being introduced by representatives in South Carolina. Now listen to this and tell me why you think there's any legitimate reason for a state house to pass this, okay? It addresses the actions of the International Criminal Court and aims to protect protected persons, and this is in quotes, protected persons of the United States and its allies from ICC investigations or prosecutions. Why would we need to protect people from international courts? In a state house in South Carolina, Pretty interesting, isn't it?
Precedent. It's for precedent.
Yeah.
More than anything else. That's why they're doing it.
Pretty interesting.
Thanks, Drew, for bringing that to our attention. I appreciate it.
No problem, man.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye. Be safe out there. Just as a recap, Senate Bill 323, also known as the Unborn Child Protection Act, total abortion ban. Bill would create a total abortion ban with almost no exceptions, equating abortion with homicide and carrying severe penalties. Defining abortion, it would redefine it to include actions taken with the intent to terminate a pregnancy, even if it results in the death of the unborn child. Criminal penalties would make it a felony to provide information about obtaining an abortion and criminalizing possession of abortion medication. The bill would require public school students to watch an anti-abortion video called Meet Baby Olivia, and then it raises concerns about restrictions on access to contraception and fertility treatments, as well as the potential for criminal prosecutions of healthcare providers. The bill is currently under consideration and has been scheduled for a hearing in South Carolina Senate. The vote is on October 1st. You see why you got to vote? You see why? You see why you have to participate? Do you see why you've got to stop being apathetic and lazy and entitled? Do you see why? Because the right does not think the left will show up, and they're right. The right thinks the left will not step up, raise their hand, and run for office. And they're right. The right thinks the left won't turn out in midterm elections. And they're right. They're right. You're right, Teresa. The right does not rest. They have an authoritarian agenda. They want to diminish marginalized communities, including women. They do not want them to exist. They don't want them to vote. They don't want women to vote. In 2025, in the United States of America, the same fucking monsters that claim we are the freest nation on earth. And now they want to pass a law forcing your children in South Carolina to watch a Meet Baby Olivia anti-abortion video. Propaganda. You'll be criminalized. No exceptions. Criminalized. No exceptions. 1 in 4 women in South Carolina, according to the stats, will be raped. 1 in 4. 1 in 4 women in South Carolina will be raped. No exceptions. Homicide. A penalty. And you think your vote doesn't matter? And you think representation doesn't count? And you don't think democracy is important? Are you just going to sit by the sidelines? You just going to watch as your rights are taken away and then say, why did that happen? Thank you, Drew, for calling that to our attention. That is Senate Bill 323, known as the Unborn Child, first of all, Unborn Child Protection Act. That will be the strictest abortion laws in our country. It will be the precedent, and other red states will follow suit. And that it will be introduced as federal legislation. And unless the Democrats take back control of the House, it will be passed federally. You mark my words. You want to take that chance? I need to end. Let's see. Olive? Is Daniela still alive, guys? Yes. Let's go read Daniela. You guys know the knitting cult lady? I just respect her so much for what she's been through and who she is and what she stands for. And she'll be another one to remind you how important it is. I want to thank you all for being in here today. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. If you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please consider doing so. As always, you want to support the channel, we are crowdfunded here at Factsstillmatter. You'll find me anywhere. Please subscribe. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys. You're the smartest chat on TikTok, bar none. Got the best mods in the business. I love you all. See you tomorrow morning.